platform. All personnel, their launch platform.
The Leaving Today podcast, the show about the news, history, and attractions of the Disneyland Resort.
Well, come on, Wendy. Let's go.
But where are we going?
To Neverland.
Neverland.
Hello, and hello. Welcome to Leaving Today podcast, episode number 196. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, however, and whenever it is you're doing it. We very much appreciate it. My name is Mark, one of the co-hosts here of the LTP. Sitting to the right of me is the Trailmaster Puppets himself, Udi.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Sitting to the left of me via Skype is Becky.
Hello.
Hello. For those of us joining us for the first time, welcome. We think you will find the water to be very, very warm. For those of you who have been longtime listeners and part of the family, welcome home. Today's show is brought to you by you, the listeners. If you'd like to get involved with that, you can go to leavingtodaypodcast.com, click on the Patreon link. We make it super simple to do that. And also, you can go on Instagram at Leaving Today Podcast, where we have a link tree and all that information is on there as well. In addition to that, we have some some shirts on TeePublic, maybe some new ones coming soon.
Yep.
Specifically for the LTP Lounge and maybe a couple other designs. They're working on that at the moment. If this sounds a little different to you, that's because it is. We're using some new gear today. And we're kind of working through it, but I'm hoping this is a better experience for everybody, and hope the sound is a little bit clearer.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that. I'm glad you did. The reason why Mark finally upgraded after badgering him for a little bit, but the main reason is because of you guys, the listeners and our supporters. That is what your Patreon support does. It helps us to get new gear, improve, and do things more and more. So
yeah.
A big shout out and thank you for all of you who have been supporting us for so long. And that's just another, an actual physical representation of what your support means to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Yeah, we don't go out and buy like dinners or anything like that. We use it for hosting fees, and occasionally we can buy cool stuff. And yeah, I like to give it back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So today's episode, we have a very special guest on, Philander, from Imagineering Monday. He's also, you're going to find out a lot about him, and I think you're going to like him a lot.
I think people are going to love him.
Yeah, he's got that magnetic personality, and
he does.
And you'll find out his job. He'll talk about it a little bit.
Yep.
And you find out he is probably he's doing what he should be doing.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He seems pretty happy doing it, and it's like, dude, we'll be let's just say that we'll be talking to him a lot more in the future.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So before that, we have our news, and then today's opening question. I don't only have one at the moment, but I'm thinking because between now and episode 197, Becky will have gone to Disneyland. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going in. Well, when the listeners hear this, I'll be on my way home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, now you asked me what I was looking forward to. What are you looking for? And who's going? You and the family, or you and your husband?
Yeah, I'm going. It's going to be my husband and my 2 kids, so just us. And I guess first and foremost, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing my kids there and their reactions. Of course, everybody knows that. But other than that, I'm really excited about Pixar Fest. I think there's a lot of really good food offerings right now that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the show that they have in Fantasyland Theater. It looks like a dance party for kids, which looks kind of in my wheelhouse, and I feel really excited about all of that.
Okay. What does your husband do? Does your husband get involved in that kind of stuff, or is he like, I'm going to go over and do something else?
Well, now that we have the kids, yeah, he'll definitely get involved. Our oldest one is really social, likes to dance.
Oh, great.
It has kind of that personality, so I think that it's something she's going to really enjoy.
Mhm.
And she's a huge Toy Story fan.
Oh,
So the fact that the Toy Story characters are going to be there, I think she'll love.
Oh wow.
wow, that's gonna be awesome.
Mhm.
Any
Yeah.
any food in particular?
Oh, okay. So I am looking forward to the ice cream cone. That is, I think it's a pistachio. It looks like Mike from Monsters Inc.
Mhm.
Yeah, you shared that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I shared it with you. I'm really excited to try that. I would say that's a big one. The fries that you sent from Rancho look really good too. I don't think that's for Pixar Fest.
Okay, I sent those to you too, Eddie.
Did I not get them? Why are they not ringing any bells?
They're like fry nachos with cheese and carne asada.
What? Did
Yeah.
I miss that?
You must have, because I definitely would have sent them to you. It was on Instagram.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah. Oh, what are you doing?
Little hockey players on Instagram.
Okay, Jay messaged me, and Jay's going to be on the show again soon because I want to talk to him about his Florida trip. But also, he's going to be going down there, I think, the week after you are, and so he's
nice.
he's maybe we could have met up, and I was like, oh, I think she's going the week before you. He goes, oh shoot.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool.
So I think
Another time.
Yeah. I think he might come on and do a review as well because they're gonna go. So we might have some. I want to compare notes with like you and Jay and see what if you guys tried some of the same things or what your
Yeah.
experiences were.
That sounds good. And if there is anything you guys want me to try and hear about, definitely send me a message and I'll do it.
Okay.
One thing though that we did change is we were supposed to do one day at DCA, but I actually changed our reservations and I'm going to plan to just stay at Disneyland proper.
Oh, there you go.
This
Okay.
trip, just since it's fast and I think there's more to do for my girls,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
than going to the other park. So we are not going to do DCA. And the Hopper this time,
Okay.
I didn't feel like it was worth the $65 a ticket.
No, that's again. I don't want to be starting this complaining session, but yeah, that park hopping thing is just a joke. The actual fee that they have to charge you for that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the only way that we will hop is if for some reason we end up upgrading to a magic.
Oh wow.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm holding out a little hope.
Yeah.
Oh my.
How old is your oldest?
She's 2.
Oh, so they're free.
Yeah, they're free. So that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just you guys, you might have to make that, you might have to make that decision and
Yeah.
weigh it against
Yeah.
how many times you plan on going in the next
The
12.
reason why I started considering it is because my in-laws did mention possibly doing an August trip.
Right.
And I did look at I forget the name of it. It might be the Belief Key, the second tier. So it has some blackout dates,
Yeah.
but still a lot of weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I did the math, I think we would have to go 3 times for it to even out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was starting to think, okay, well, maybe if we booked Mother's Day for next year, then there's another trip. If we went in August, then we have 3, and we just need to add 1 more.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if it's girl math.
No.
As they say.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, there is a certain equation, and I mean, it's just a matter of what you want to do personally, and because I know I both my daughters got one, and I didn't pressure them into doing it. I mean, I said it might be a good idea because if you want to go like 4 times, 4 park hopping tickets is worth,
Yeah.
I mean, at least $700, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, you get 10% off of your food and merchandise, and that kind of evens it out. And plus, it's kind of, you have that thing in like the back of your mind, like, oh, well, you know what? In 2 weeks, I've got nothing going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I wonder if I can go.
True.
And all you got to worry about, at least for me, would be, well, I guess gas, and you could find lodging, and If you find someone to go with, you can split that 50-50 or whatever it is.
Yeah, true. And with the key, you would at least have a discount on parking, so you don't necessarily have to stay super close either.
Oh, true.
If you found a better deal further out.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. And you also get discounts on Genie Plus too.
Oh, yeah.
Bleh.
Yeah, anyway.
I do feel like that should come with it, but
Okay.
I won't do any complaints.
Okay, so listeners, do you think Becky will get a magic key?
Poll. Straw poll.
Straw poll. I'm gonna shake my magic 8-ball. It says ask again later.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna say
It says ask your husband.
ask your husband. I'm gonna say no is my guess.
No.
Yeah.
I think you will vacillate strongly between doing it, but at the end he's gonna say no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well, the other factor to take into account is I'm also saying this right now as I've had a good night's sleep. I'm very well rested. I'm ready to go and excited.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily how it's going to be driving with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old
Yeah.
Okay.
waking up early. So that's a big factor too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what about like you have a sister or a brother or something, or
Yeah, I have one of each.
and are they in the Disneyland as well, or?
Oh yeah, they love it. My brother goes a lot. I think I could easily talk him into a magic key.
Okay, see, so
Very easily.
you've got that too. You get, and I don't know where they live, but you can say, oh, my brother's coming up. We're gonna go to Disneyland for the day, or
Yeah.
I don't know if you do it for the day where you live, but you'd have to get a hotel probably.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we live near each other, and he has 3 kids too.
Oh, okay. Well,
And,
that might be harder
yeah,
to do.
like I almost could guarantee if I did get one, that he would probably be online ordering one.
And how about your sister? Are you close with her too?
Oh yeah, I'm close with her. I don't know if she would, just because she doesn't have kids yet. She loves Disneyland,
Okay.
but I kind of feel like she might start the process of having kids soon.
Oh.
Start trying after getting married.
Right.
So I think she would probably want to wait till all that's done.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know, that type of thing.
Awesome. Okay, so we've uncovered the fact that Becky is vacillating between getting one.
Yeah.
She has a list of some food items she wants to get, and she's looking forward to the Pixar Fest stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, and one thing I am very proud about, I'm packed. I'm already packed.
When are you going?
And next week on Friday, or this coming week. But you guys,
okay, that's a little.
No, but this is a really big step for me. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a meme that says there are 2 types of people. One that packs early, one that is doing laundry an hour before you leave, and they marry each other.
Oh.
I am normally the person doing laundry an hour before we leave.
Oh, I see. I
So
see.
this is a really big milestone for me.
Well, congratulations on overcoming that. That was stressful.
Thank you.
Sure.
And it's mostly because my kids have so many things that I don't want to forget anything.
Okay.
Man.
All right. Well, let's get to the news because I know Philander's waiting on deck and people don't want to hear us gibbering about nonsense.
Yeah.
But- okay, now let's go to the news.
You listen to me now. You are talking about things that you do not understand.
Okay. All right. First news item is Disneyland Resort Summer 2024 ticket and hotel offers available starting on May 29th. Disneyland Resort announced in summer 2024 ticket discounts and hotel discounts offers. They become available May 29th and effective on June 10th through September 26th of 2024. The offer gives vacation planners a new incentive to book those summer trips to see Pixar Fast, yes, through August 4th. Enjoy the nighttime spectacular Fantasmic, which returns May 24th, plus experience Halloween Time and Plaza de la Familia. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
You said?
Plaza de la Familia.
See, he has that little thing he can do. He can turn on his speech real quick, and I can't do that. I got to find a button for this on
Yeah,
this
you do.
controller.
Like maybe on the new board you can find one.
Okay.
Okay.
This year's offer includes a lower price children's ticket. This year's 3-day summer offer is also open to all guests, not just California residents. Okay.
Good.
Discounted hotel bookings can be reserved May 29th through September 12th for stays between June 10th and September 26th. Okay, at the Grand Californian and Disneyland Hotel or the villas at Disneyland Hotel. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me see. There's a bunch of information people don't really need to. I put in way too much stuff. I think people want to know what the prices are. This kind of tickets is a 3-day, 1 park per day ticket that offers admission to either Disneyland or DCA. Starting at the weekday ticket is $249 for adults and $149 for children aged 3 to 9. Admission to 1 park, reservation required. They have to throw that in there.
Oh my God.
On any 3 weekdays, Mondays through Thursday, only between June 10th and September 26th. And then the any day ticket starts at $299 for adults and $199 for children. And admission to 1 park, reservation required any 3 days between June 10th and June 26th. Okay, so the difference is one is a weekday only, the other one is any day.
Yeah, any day.
Ah,
Well, I mean, when you break it down, right, it's $100 a day.
sure.
Okay, but then we are the crazy people who have the park hopper, and that's
yeah.
that's going to kick it up another what, 60 a day? Was it?
Yeah, or 65.
Yeah, 65 a day.
Yeah. Or I think per ticket, like for your trip.
No, I'm
Is-
pretty sure it's
or
per
is
day.
it per day?
I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
my gosh.
Yeah, I think it is per day.
That's ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
I know when we looked, I didn't add it because the price
Yeah,
just bumped it up too much.
yeah. So yeah, you go 1 day. I mean, you would add that 1 day, but yeah, I mean, it's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
Like so much that Disney's done lately. There are parts of it that are really good.
Yep.
And then you always have there. I always feel like there is another shoe that goes, but
It has been that way.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately we are seeing a lot of changes in them.
well, yeah,
Positive.
and I think you guys all know that we're critical. I'm at times hypercritical of Disney, but we have to. That being said, we also have to be happy with when they make a change.
Yes.
So these are the things that I've been talking about it for a while now. When we see positive changes, we need to support those. When Disney does things that we like, we need to go in there and support them. And I know,
Yep.
coming from me, that I haven't been to the park now for a year and a half, and we've been through that. Why? I will go back. I will be back.
Yes.
I need to go back. I want to go back. These are many. So my desire is not to ever go back there again. But there are certain things that Disney has to do. In my mind, this is my own personal thing,
Yep.
that they still haven't earned it. So these are all incremental movement. And the thing is, I know that I am not alone in my mentality.
I know that.
I know there's a ton of people that think my way. But anyway, that being said, no, this overall is a good thing. I
Sure.
think it's another step in the right direction. I think it's another indicator that Disney recognizes that the red light has been blinking for a little bit, and they go like, "Oh, we need to figure out why the check engine light isn't working." And we all know that, and we've been saying it. And anybody who pays attention close enough and wants to look at it knows that the parks are the driver of the company.
Sure.
Orlando, in particular, that's the biggest driver. But then right behind is going to be Disney and other parks, right? Shanghai, all those. But the main driver is going to be the park.
Yep.
So when they do things, I think they're recognizing that the parks need more attendance. And I think maybe this is going to be a move to try to pull back from the nickel and diming a bit. I'm hoping that they have not been so addicted to that nickel and diming dopamine hit that they get, that they can recognize they need to pull back from that and then come back to this. Because without going into a big old long thing, there's a reason why the parks feel busy.
Yeah.
And seem busy.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with it has little to do with the attendance.
Oh, I know that.
It has more to do with the algorithm. And we know this. And anybody who wants to look at it and go, what are you guys talking? We've talked about it before. And if you guys need a further explanation, I don't want to do it now because I'll be here for a minute. Let me know. Ask me. I'll tell you. This is what they're doing. This is why it feels busier.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
But overall, good move.
Good move.
Keep on moving. Keep on going this direction, Disney. I like it.
You like it. Next news item is Shocker Pixar Fest begins. So in fact, we just started talking about that before we got to the news. So it's better than Pixar Night was, and it didn't cost an extra $150. That's how one reader summed up their experience at the updated Pixar Fest, which opened last Friday. April 25th at the Disneyland Resort. Pixar Fest is an updated version of the 2018 promotion by the same name, and Disney took the opportunity to include characters from 5 recent Pixar releases in the mix. This event also ties into the recent rededication of the Paradise Pier Hotel as the Pixar Place Hotel. The summertime promotion is a celebration of all things Pixar and takes place at both Disneyland and DCA. Like the 2020 Disneyland After Dark Pixar Night event held at DCA, at DCA, Pixar Fest has special food, merchandise, live entertainment, dance parties, character meet and greets, and more. Unlike the event, Pixar Fest is included with theme park admission and runs daily through August 24th. Okay, so I think most of you guys know all of the stuff that's going to be happening there. There's a parade, a nighttime spectacular, Together Forever, a Pixar nighttime spectacular. Actually, is what it's called. And you're going to check that out, right, Becky?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I guess the only thing would be if my kids go to sleep, then I might use that time to let them sleep in the stroller, and my husband and I take turns on some attractions.
Okay, but I mean, like
But overall, yeah.
But you guys are going to make a point to go see the nighttime spectacular.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's right, because that's where Buzz Lightyear's flying around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're big Buzz Lightyear fans.
Oh,
in the
awesome.
house.
Yeah. I guess if I was going to go, how many days you gonna go for 2 nights?
It's only going to be one night.
Oh, for you guys? Okay, then.
Yeah, because we're going to come home a little early on Sunday, so this
Okay.
is a faster trip. So I think if we're not able to watch the whole thing, at least catch part of it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'd probably watch it once, and then
I would. I would.
Mm-hmm.
You
One
would.
time, yeah.
Yeah, one time, and then I'd be elsewhere.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it still looks pretty dang cool.
Yeah, it looks like a good show.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched a lot on it because, I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think it's been getting pretty good reviews, too.
Mm.
I think
People liked it.
if I watch it, it'd be like Clark Griswold on vacation. when they get to the Grand Canyon, he's like, okay, let's go, everybody in the car. I feel like that's the way I'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least catch some parts of it.
Yeah,
and
like,
then
okay,
kinda move on.
it's great, let's go.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's great about like when that's done, like 9:45 or so, you still have like 2 hours left to hang out in the
I
park,
know.
Mhm.
and that's usually when people head out.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, they
Yeah.
end their night there. We're like, oh, we still going.
We still going.
Yep.
So yeah, I expect a full report from you, Becky, and I'll be asking lots of questions.
Definitely.
All right. Let's see here. Next news item is Critter Country closed on May 1st. So as of the time of this recording, Critter Country is now closed. Most of Critter Country is scheduled to close past Wednesday on May 1st, including the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh attraction, the Briar Patch Shop, and Pooh Corner. The work is related to the construction of Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the re-theme of the Critter Country stores. Disney has not said when the area will reopen. The Hungry Bear restaurant will remain open during this work, as will the pathway to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Cool. Yeah, I know there was a big to-do about all this, but they are just changing. I'm almost certain that Critter Country is going to stay the way as Critter Country.
I'm beginning to get that vibe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this right here, honestly, this Critter Country might be like one of the keys to unlocking what Disneyland Forward is going to be.
It might be. It might be a pathway in.
It is.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you think about what they've been doing, like logically, everything on the west side has been shut down.
Yeah.
And, well, not Pirates, but the queue in Magnolia Park's gone. So Haunted Mansion, as we know, shut down.
Yeah.
Tiana's Bayou is getting a full thing. So it looks like they're redoing that whole section.
Yeah.
As a way of like, okay, to entice people to figure out that eventually it's going to end up with
And it could be. I mean, it could be just a concert of coincidences, but I don't believe in those. So yeah,
no.
When you look at it, it kind of makes a little bit more sense now that we've got Disney Ford approved. Even though we have yet to. I mean, D23. I'm thinking
Tuesday, May 7th.
Okay, Oh, that's right. Then we need to know something by then, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to have something this week, per the city council, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
So yeah, by the time this recording comes out, we should have a better idea.
Yeah, and for those of you listeners who don't really follow all this stuff, I don't blame you. I mean, I actually really, and I think we all, at least three of us, really
enjoy it.
Enjoy the stuff.
Yeah.
That pathway that circles at the end of Critter Country, Pooh's Corner. If you look on a map, there's a gate there that goes across the road, which Disneyland will be owning, I think, and then that goes right to the main parking lot of the Disneyland Hotel, which faces the Fantasyland Tower faces that whole lot. That whole lot and the other side of Disneyland Hotel is what is going to be part of Disneyland Forward.
Yep.
And can you imagine, if that becomes like Fantasy Springs or Arendelle or something?
Yeah.
And,
It would flow right into it.
and then think about those rooms in the Fantasyland Tower, how much those are going to cost just to look at that. Which,
oh my gosh, yeah.
but yeah, it flows right into that, and that Critter Country is like the link to that area. So this little bit of, I don't know, something to think about and maybe ponder and kind of watch how that all like transcends into something different. I'm stoked about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So when you go, Becky, you guys won't be able to do that.
I know I am a little disappointed that we can't do Winnie the Pooh,
Okay.
but it's not that big of a deal.
No, it
just
isn't.
because the kids like Pooh.
Yeah, for sure. And then one thing you said about that, I was gonna say, you said, okay, so you weren't gonna watch the fireworks because you didn't want to get spoiled, and that kind of triggered something
ahead of time.
in my mind here. Is that so I know June 9th through the 14th is media preview day for Tiana's Bite Adventure in Orlando at Walt Disney World. So as soon as that video comes out, we're gonna do LTP Lounge,
Right.
And I'm personally not gonna watch it yet, and I want to watch it with you guys. But you guys feel free.
Yeah, no, I'll wait.
feel free to do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
But I want to go over that, and ours is going to be a little bit different, as we'll learn
Yep.
with talking to Philander. Ours is going to be a little bit different, which is, because our splashdown area is much different.
Yeah.
Theirs is better.
Yeah. I've heard.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Actually, whenever I did go on their Splash Mountain, I did think it was better.
Oh yeah,
In
it's
general.
like holy cow! I was like, why don't we have this? But ours is unique.
Yeah.
Ours goes under the walkway, and
Yeah. That I mean, that's what makes it fun for me because you can sit there and watch and all that cool stuff.
yeah. But the one in Florida, it splashes down right in front of you, and the whole circle is right there, and you can see the whole thing, and it's like you can cheer at people or throw things at people, whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I can't wait to see though what ours looks like at night.
Oh
I think it's gonna be beautiful there.
yeah, I have no doubt.
Well, that's going to be interesting. I was going to make this comment because I've been watching a few more videos about Florida and Tiana's,
Yeah.
and I'll put it this way: the photos I saw of the exterior, I was underwhelmed. I'm like, that doesn't really look good. And then they went on in the particular video I was watching. Then they went to the night. I'm like, see, that's better. And they were the video I was watching. They were still kind of like talking down about it, and they were trash talking it pretty hard. And I'm like, I didn't agree with them, but
Sure.
at least I am curious because it definitely had a different vibe at night, like we know. So I'm definitely very, very, very curious about how the contrast between day and night for this one is going to be, because I have a feeling it's going to be ginormous, like a huge contrast from day to night.
Oh, dude, I think you're spot
Yeah,
on.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Go ahead.
Yep.
And imagine, if you're on the Mark Twain and you see that thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Like right at the time it starts to light up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's going to look great. And I think Philander alluded to the interior is going to be a lot different than what we've expected.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. Because that's
Yeah.
been another critique that I've been hearing. And again, this is coming from rumor, and just the exterior being, what they can see from the outside.
Yeah.
So we're not going to know until we get in. I mean, it's going to be one of those things that we have to take in the whole attraction.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't take a piece and then we can be a lot more, I think, even in our criticism.
Oh, sure. For sure.
Because right now we're going up and down with whatever comes out, and we can kind of.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to try to I'm trying to calm myself down because I find myself running off like, man, come on.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So the last news item we have is Downtown Disney soft opening. While the 3 new Downtown Disney restaurants, Paseo, Centrico, and Tenedilla, is that the word?
Tiendita.
Okay. Yeah, Udi, you can just say those. Are not scheduled to open until May now. Centrico appears to have opened early. Employees were spotted in a meeting at the location Wednesday morning. That was last week. And on Wednesday night, the outdoor bar and restaurant was serving walk-up guests. On Friday, employees were seen testing Tenedita self-ordering kiosk. Did I say it wrong again?
You said it wrong again.
Oh, dude.
It sounded right to me.
Okay.
Well,
Say it again, Udi.
Tiendita.
Okay. But we have not had any word if the restaurant soft opened over the weekend. So, yeah, I'm glad that that's going on. We need those things back up and running. Do you guys spend much time in downtown Disney, Becky?
Well, usually more, but this time it's such a fast trip. I don't know that we will.
Okay.
But like usually I have an extra day where we kind of do downtown Disney.
Yeah, see, if you had a magic key, you could actually spend more time down there.
You knew that was coming.
No. Well, actually, no, that's not even true. I mean, but you would feel more inclined to go more.
No, you have more time.
Yeah, you have more time.
Yeah, you kind of can relax more and have that ease that, okay, I'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every trip I go, most of the time it's walking through to get to Traders, but,
Yeah.
still walk it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, actually, we're going to end the news on this. Is Wendy was listening to the last show, and she goes, "Oh, you guys didn't talk about the lounge at the Disneyland Hotel." And I go, "Oh yeah, we didn't." Remember, I showed you.
Oh
guys.
yeah.
Yeah, I do want to hear about that.
Yeah, so we didn't eat there or get a drink, but we walked in, and they had like a live like a pianist playing there. And the hostess was super nice, or server was really nice. And we talked a little bit about what they offered at the bar. It's a full bar, and then they have some pretty good. I sent you guys like the menu of a pretty good thing. But the one thing that was kind of odd about it is it shares the wall next to Goofy's Kitchen, and so like if you want to go in there and go, oh, we're gonna like relax and after the evening or whatever, and oh, that's the other thing. Actually, there's 2 things now. Is that I asked what time they closed, and they said they have no closing time. They said whenever like winds down, we just close. And I go,
okay.
oh, that's interesting. I go, could be 10 or midnight, and she goes, yeah. And I go, okay, but if you are gonna go, hey, let's go get like a drink and chill, whatever. It lines up right next to Goofy's Kitchen and right to the check-in where Goofy's Kitchen is. So there's that. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but it is what it is that there's always like kids running around, screaming and stuff. And that's kind of what you expect at Goofy's Kitchen. So I wouldn't complain about that. But the lounge is like, oh,
right there.
Yeah, like I don't want that. And like Wendy's take was like, man, I get the impression that this is just like a makeshift
100%.
And it didn't even occur to me until she brought that up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. This is kind of like a temporary situation.
100%. Like, didn't we talk about that when Jay saw the picture that I felt like, didn't I say that? It felt like this was...
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, this is a temporary thing because, and that to me solidifies the fact that we don't even have a closing time. They don't care enough to really staff it or worry about, like, making sure people get accustomed to it being there.
Yeah.
Is that, like, normal? I've never heard of a place having a closing time.
Usually, no. Anything run at that level always will have, and it's almost like you have to state a time.
Right.
Most places have to state a clear opening and closing time. So for them not to do that, it's unusual.
Sure.
And it just, I think it does. It says that, hey, we're not going to be here that long, so don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually ask that question, but the thing is, we were trying to plan our day out because this was the day before, and we're thinking, okay, the park closes at 10. Let's say we get out of there at 10:30, and let's come down here for a drink. Or they had this chocolate molten lava cake that we were thinking, we could probably split that. And I go, yeah, what time do you guys close? And then she goes, we don't even know. It varies. And then I go, well, it could be 10 or 12. She goes, yeah. And I go, okay, well, that's interesting. I can't really plan on that.
Yeah. No. Well, and I couldn't imagine, like, going to Goofy's Kitchen and sitting having a drink before, because it doesn't sound like a place you really want to take your kids.
Yeah, they don't jive, do they?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, they don't. I mean, I don't. Does the Goofy's Kitchen for dinner? They do the characters? They must, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I've never
think
been.
so.
Well, you.
I
I mean, to dinner we did breakfast.
Oh
But
yeah, we did.
Yeah,
I think dinner does too.
smashed
Okay,
breakfast.
yeah, we
anyway.
smashed breakfast.
Pretty sure.
Okay, so anyways, I thought that was interesting, and then it got me thinking. Well, maybe they're gonna move that to the new steakhouse
They
thing.
could.
I'm waiting for that.
They could.
Yeah, also too, something when I was listening to our last show, we talked about the steakhouse, and I am super excited.
Yeah.
But also the barbecue place. I didn't mention in the last show, but I'm really excited for the barbecue place too.
Okay.
Didn't we say there's one supposed to be adjacent?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I miss Big Thunder Ranch barbecue still,
Dude.
so I'm hoping it's something like that.
Oh, I don't think it's gonna be like that. That was a one of a kind, unique.
Yeah, it just lives in my dreams now.
Yeah, unique experience. I wish. God, there's two things Bob Iger could do that would just like solidify. Don't roll your eyes, Udi. Okay, and you know this is true. If he was to bring back if he was to bring back some sort of variant of the barbecue that was like that would be one. And if he brought back People Mover,
Dude,
Yeah.
that would be okay done.
I would swap that with Skyway, but yeah.
Oh yeah, Skyway. Yeah, that's right. Well, either one. I'd be okay, dude. Okay, things are good now. But no, Becky's right. I'm looking forward to the barbecue as well. And I hope it's a Disney operated steakhouse like Steakhouse 55 and not some commercial.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. Not a big chain. I would prefer it if it's gonna be in that it's either gonna be a Disney run thing or a small chain, not like a Ruth Chris or whatever. How many are out there now? Like something a lot more independent feeling.
Yeah, and just unique to the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, having that. I'll just tell you the story. We went. You guys all know that I travel around for work, and we were we were up in Clear Lake, and we'd been driving by this little shack, this little legit shack. Okay, no bigger than Mark's Kitchen that I'm looking at. Yep, Mark's Kitchen. Okay. And it said barbecue on, outside, and we're like, okay. And then we actually wound up going. Oh my Lord, they had the smoker out back, and it was some of the best. I had a cheese. It was like a cheese and portobello stuffed hamburger thing, and then there was brisket and all this stuff. It was amazing.
Oh.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's what the things that Disney needs to do.
Was it in Clear Lake Oaks or Clear Lake?
Clear Lake, and straight up Clear Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, and I forgot what it's even called. It's literally a shack.
Okay.
And it was some of the best I've ever had.
Interesting.
So that's what I mean by smaller, more independent, high quality. Like have only a few people involved. Therefore, it creates its own unique experience. So,
Sure.
I hope they do something like that. Or if they're going to do it, then they're going to. But Disney will probably take it over and be a Disney run thing.
Well, okay.
But it would be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Becky?
No, I just was agreeing with that. I would like it to be something like what he's talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
But, to be determined.
I
would even like a Toy Story theme or something like that. But
you would?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's because I have kids now. So I see things differently than looking at it the other way. But I mean, of course, the steakhouse, I'd love somewhere nice where like just my husband and I could go and go on a trip with my parents, send the kids with my parents, and us go for a nice dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see, okay, the steakhouse could be that, and the barbecue could be, a barbecue place should be more just like chill.
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah,
outdoors,
definitely.
smoker.
And that's what I mean with a barbecue. Like, a smoker, a brisket, a pulled pork, that kind of thing. Just
some
very
burnt-in nachos.
Yeah.
Oh,
Something basic but good.
Yeah.
And like really pay attention to the barbecuing and how the meat is done and everything. Yep.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking forward to that. Hopefully by this time next year, this has all come out. But
hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully. Yeah. All right, well, that's going to wrap up the news. Now let's get over. We're going to talk to Philander. You guys are going to love him. He's part of the LTP family as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's go to the feature presentation.
And now for our feature presentation.
Well, hey, LTP listeners, this is our feature presentation. We're looking forward to this. On the line with us is hopefully a new friend of the show.
I think so.
Current cast member of Disneyland. This is Philander. Hey, man, how's it going?
I'm doing quite wonderful. Excited to talk about the history. Gosh, so many things, to be honest. But yeah, I love chatting about this stuff, so I'm ready to dig in.
Okay, awesome. So I first found you on Instagram. I started following you because I liked your Imagineering Monday segment. I go, okay, who is this guy? And then I'm looking at your pictures, and I'm thinking, okay, he clearly loves Disneyland. And then I go, oh, wait a minute. And I see he's got a different pair of Jordans on in a few pictures, and I go, I like Jordans too. So I'm gonna ask you about what your favorites are. I'm guessing they're either gonna be the 1s, the 4s, or the 11s, as my guess. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
11 for sure.
Is okay. Okay. I mean, I've only seen you in 1s, but I assume that the 11s are around there somewhere. But I'm guessing you like the Concorde ones. Yes, yeah. I knew it. Okay, gotcha.
Elegant.
I knew I would like this guy. Okay. I'm going to find out that he actually works for the company. And I go, okay, well, there's 3 pluses right there.
Yep.
That I'm into Disneyland history. I love it. I love learning about it. And I thought this guy, okay, he's a sneakerhead. And we can talk Jordans, and we can talk about whatever he wants to talk about with the company. But let's get and he's got the blue name tag.
Yeah.
Which is congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's start from your history. How did you get started with your history of Disneyland? And then how did you, where'd you grow up, and when was your first Disneyland experience, and how did you get involved with the company? Does that seem like okay?
Hilariously, my first experience, I sadly don't remember it anymore. I know people can pinpoint the very first visit, and I think my time there, because I've been there now for 12 years.
Awesome.
And I think my time there is so convoluted with other experiences that I cannot remember. I remember being there as a kid, but I cannot remember that singular first time or visit. Yeah. My mom has showed me photos of stuff, but they're all out of context, and the timing, it feels kind of weird. So, but I don't know the first day, and I think my memories are starting to blur with work memories weirdly.
Okay.
To where I'm did I do that, or did was that another day that I was there?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But I started there in 2012. I was part of the big hiring in preparation for 2011, the purchase of Cars Land coming. So obviously, anytime that we create new content that's on a massive scale of that level, we will obviously do a lot of hiring because you have a lot of new positions to fill. So I was part of that team, not to work in Cars Land specifically, because getting a job at Disney is not terribly hard unless it is a specialized position. So people that get jobs there they sometimes will either take whatever is available because they just want to work there so much, or they will be looking for something specific. So I was put into tickets or ticketing. I did not last long there, and I say that in a way that, not that I was a bad cast member, but I talked a lot, which you will find out here today. And that was not super conducive to the role in that moment, because they pride efficiency there, and they loved it, of course. It's just, it wasn't me. I wasn't the best in that regard, because theoretically they would want you to, as a fun example, it can sometimes take a long time to get into the resort. You gotta pay to, you wait to pay to park, and then you have to wait to park, and then you wait to go through security, and then you wait to get on the tram. And then back in the old days, you waited in line to buy your ticket, then you waited in line to use your ticket, and then you were finally in.
Yes.
So, so that was the process.
Yep.
And depending on when you showed up or what day of the week it was or time of the year, that could be, 20 minutes all the way to an hour or whatnot. So they wanted efficiency. And not that I wasn't necessarily efficient, but I love talking to people. So I spent a lot of time trying to help people plan their day or give them advice on things to do, because the role was called the role is called vacation planning, which is very fancy talk for ticket selling. So like when I was told I was going to be a vacation planner, my thought obviously was, okay, I'm going to help people plan the vacation. It's so cool. But in reality, it's just ticketing. Not that that's bad, but so I was trying to actively do the vacation planning aspect of that role. So like doing more than just selling the ticket. So after only 6 months, they ended up moving me out of that space because they believed that I would thrive in another area, and that was guest relations / tours.
Okay.
Because that is all talking. And it's a department that lives hand in hand. So a lot of people wear that iconic plaid outfit, in the park, but there are specialized roles per that outfit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the plaid. So people that you see in plaid are either guest relations, they are tour guides, or VIP hosts. So one of 3 roles, and usually you can tell by the D pin that they are wearing on their vest, because it will either say guest relations, guide, or host. Granted, if you know all 3, you have all 3 of those, but they prefer you to wear the role the one that you're the most prominent in.
Okay.
But I've been that. But other than that 6 months, I've been in that plaid ever since there. And then I also train this position, so I teach people how to do the role, and then I am a spokesperson for Disneyland. Not public relation issues type things, but anytime new content is created at the resort, I either like a new ride, new shows, parades, content. I'll do radio and television for that, which is fun because they obviously want people to know about these things.
Yeah.
So they will send us out. We either go out to outlets like news or radio, or they will bring them to us.
Right.
And that one's always the preferred one because then they get to experience whatever we're talking about. It's hard to sometimes talk about a new fireworks show if no one has seen it. So the hope is that they bring them there so they get to see it, and then we talk about it. You get usually a much better interview if they see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I started doing the Imagineering Monday on kind of on a lark, really. I had noticed that every time that someone, you'll probably laugh at this. I noticed that every time people talked about Disney history or shared like Disneyland secrets, quote unquote, it was always the same stuff over and over again.
Yep.
So everyone always is like, there's a basketball hoop in the Matterhorn, or it's always the same stuff. Like, and I had realized no one is ever sharing anything that I'm talking about or that I know. Like, I never see it anywhere. Like, and if it is, it's like it's really dug deep within the internet, But it's always the same thing. Like if you typed in Disneyland secrets right now as a Google search, most likely all 3 of you would know all of them already.
Sure.
And they're probably always the same ones if you go to different websites.
Sure.
It's always like the same stuff. So I was like, well, you know what? No one's talking about this. So like, I would love to share that because in my role, I get to tell it to people all the time. But I thought about my friends and family or the small following I had at the time on Instagram would probably appreciate it because they for the most part like the same stuff too. And I started it literally only on that basis, just because I like storytelling and I wanted to do it for people that did not get to be with me at the park. It obviously grew exponentially from that, which was unintended. I had no desire. I just like educating people on Disney history, especially like really far flung or the minutia of the resort that most have zero clue about.
Oh, yeah.
And it grew to this thing that even still to this day, I'm very surprised at. Not that I'm surprised that people enjoy it, but I'm also not necessarily doing anything that's uniquely special other than the fact that I'm talking about a lot of things that just don't necessarily get talked about often. Because I'm definitely not the first person to post Disney history. Right. And it was really more for me and then people that I knew followed me, but people shared it and overshared it, and I like it, and I don't necessarily need people to like follow me. I'm a person that just kind of enjoys the fact that people are learning more about a place that they love. I don't need people. You told them that I told you that. Like, I don't care. I just like that the stories are being told.
Sure.
Because you get, especially now after the company is over 100 years old, if you don't tell these stories, no one hears them, they become more mythic and legend than actual fact.
So true.
So I like that people are sharing things, because if someone is learning something from me and then sharing it with their family and friends and so on and so forth, now more people are finding a much deeper appreciation about the resort, because it's super easy to fall in love with that place on a surface level. Like, the rides are great and the entertainment's great, the food is great. Like, people love it easily for that. But there's like this deeper, much deeper level that most aren't aware of.
Oh, yeah.
That I like to share, because then you fall even deeper in love with it when you see how much attention to detail is put in, even more so than what most people believe.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a long-winded way of telling you.
It's super interesting. I do have a question too. When you first got your job at Disney, was it something where you were so passionate and you thought, I'm going to make this a career for life, or did you just intend to be there for a short time?
No, I think I was like most people who get the job there, where they go and they love it. And I know some people are afraid of those kind of things, because it's like, I don't want to, see how the sausage is made, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me, because I'm able to easily separate the two. Like, I'm easily, like, I have days where I've gone off of work and gone home and changed and gone right back. But to play, and I'm able to separate that. But I never thought of it like as a long thing. And it's funny when you ask a lot of people that. I think it's the same thing with them, where they looked up and then now it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think that is a great testament to what it means to work for a place that you're willing to put that much time and effort into. Because obviously many of us could leave whenever we wanted if we didn't care for it. But it's not uncommon to see people, if you look at their name tags with their year pins, you'll see 20s, 15s, 30s, 45s. Like, obviously that speaks volumes about it, the company, that people are willing to put that much time and effort into it, because it means something further than just the job itself. Like, it has like resonance, and people, are more than willing to put in that time there, and they've enjoyed it, obviously, and watched it change. But yeah, for me, it was never. I don't think I've ever started any job thinking about, and I think that's just maybe a common thing. I don't think I thought about it like being there this long. Like, you just I looked up, and because even now thinking about it, it feels like maybe it was 6 years, not 12.
Yeah.
But time is is very funny in how it moves. To it's something that's long feels short, or short feels long. But yeah, I could easily assume that. Or I can think, I started in 2016 or 18. Like, it hasn't been that long, but obviously the change over the resort in that 10-year span, or 12-year span now at this point, is immense. Especially from the point when I came in with Cars Land, which signaled obviously a very massive change for California Adventure, and then so on and so forth after that. So. Yeah, another long-winded answer.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's great about it is that I think it speaks to Disneyland and what makes it so special. I mean, a lot of people, like you're saying, you can't imagine how many companies that really people have been there for an extended period of time, and then this is where when we get asked about why do we like Disney, why Disney, why Disneyland, why Disneyland,
yeah.
And then, like you were saying, it's about finding a magical place. And for me, I think I'd be like you. I think I'd come in there and I'd want to know all the cool stuff, because then you know how it's made, and then you can turn around and you can see all the people who are just getting enjoyment out of it, and you know how it's going, but the payoff is the enjoyment, right? And so seeing that, and then the other part of it is, I'm like that. I'm logical. I do a lot of technical stuff. I build things. I'm in construction, so I build, and I see, and I get to see how these things come up from the ground, and they start coming up, and then you get to see them, and then you get to walk away when it's all done, and then you get people moving in. You're like, and there it is. And so I can imagine at some level that what it has to be for you, And now with the new attractions coming, stuff like that, I don't know how much access you have, but it's got to be the same kind of thing. People walking around, and then seeing it, and then once you see what you've been working on being unveiled, and then you see all these people just come and flock and just get enjoyment out of it. That I don't see where else people can get that from. You know what I mean? It's difficult unless you really connect with the people that you're around and then the company you're working with. And I think that's an incredible testament to what Walt created. And how it's lasted this long, because of all that kind of those connective things that bring so many people from all over the planet together in one spot. So, I mean, it's special. There's no way to put it, but it's just special. So,
Right.
yeah.
It means a lot to, well, when you realize, and there's no like disparity, it's like thinking about other companies or how they run, but knowing that the job that we're doing specifically is fulfilling the dream of a singular individual, right? Walt Disney. It's easy to look at it in a different way or give a different headspace, because while yes, it is a business venture, it was created from the most like innocent, idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Obviously, the story that so many have heard about, the carousel and daddy, daughter Sunday, like that. The innocence of the idea, I think, helps that despite no matter how big it becomes, the purity of, creating a space that people can enjoy together as a family, like that kind of thing makes it easy to put on. And for me personally, I can't speak so much to every cast member, but the job for me is very therapeutic, which is surprising sometimes to some people due to the somewhat chaotic nature of like just theme parks in general. But it feels therapeutic because when you are around people that are happy and making memories and smiling and laughing and taking pictures, that kind of stuff rubs off on you. And that's not to say that there are challenges, because creating anything to that level and scale and to be as perfect as you can be all the time it takes a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
But our business motto, or our emphasis in creating new stuff or the whole business model for everything is we create happiness. Well, yes, obviously money is involved in doing that, but very few places can say that what they're attempting to do is that. Yeah. And yes, things cost money and you make money, but if you keep it in the we create happiness model with everything that you do, then you end up getting a much more pure product than I think most people realize. And I think sometimes the business part of it is a deterrent to people. I love that side of it just as much because it's art and commerce. Like you need one just as much as you need the other.
Right.
And I think people look at it only as the art aspect, but don't realize the important financial aspects of it. And I guess that's no different than everyone loving Walt, but not really caring so much about Roy. Like someone's got to do the dirty work.
Sure.
Oh man.
And I get it. If people give him far more credit than they give Roy, because obviously, Walt was the showman, and he was on the TV, and Uncle Walt, Wonderful World of Disney, and Roy was the one making sure the lights stayed on, which is crazy important. But since it's not showy or flashy, it's easy to like push that out. But someone's got to do the nitty gritty stuff, But I appreciate.
You need that balance.
Yeah, for sure.
And I appreciate that aspect of it as well. That you can run a business that people continue to want to come back to. Over and over and over again, because at least with me, and I can say for a lot of my colleagues, our job is to make sure that every visit that people come by is either as good as the last one or better. Like we don't want it to get worse, and we'll succeed sometimes and fail in others, but as long as I think people see that there's always forward progression, that's probably one of the most important aspects of it, at least to me. And I like getting a chance to educate people or provide context to people about as to why we do specific things, or history aspects of it, so that they have that deeper appreciation. Or, when I get into fun conversations with people about Imagineering, where they're like, they should make this or they should make that.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, and when you really break it down, I give like context to why certain business or why choices are made for, different rides or lands or shows or attractions, like all these things that, it's not just, it's not such an easy thing. Like, I can tell they're like, well, why won't they make a ride about my favorite movie? It's like, well, see, the hard thing is, like, your movie's not that popular. And that's the truth, like, it's an investment of a lot of money, and you need to make sure that there is a built-in audience for it, and that the revenue will be generated by it. It's just so many little things like that. So it's always fun to talk to people about things like that, and I do love asking people questions about, things that they would like to do, and you know, so you always get the funny people like, they should make it cheaper. I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like, you know, it's just that wouldn't go that wouldn't go the way you think it would go. But.
Yeah. Well, oh man, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. I got it. So, I just want to go back to it. You know, the part about the happiness part, and this is what I can kind of imagine. You know, that ability for you to be there and why you would be there, and because I've always made the comment that we can be going through whatever. You know, we can have a terrible time. We can be having a rough week, a rough month, a rough year.
Sure.
But you tell me. And I've said this often on the show. You tell me anyone who's not going to be able to go through the gates, and the second you go underneath the train and you walk on the main street, that all of a sudden, all that weight is just gone.
Yep.
And I can, and I love doing that. I love that feeling. And I can't imagine like you being there and how many people, as soon as they go through there, how does that not rub off? Like, so I can only imagine how that must be for you. To have these people, and they know the smiles on their faces. The second they're coming in, they're grinning to ear, and they start looking around. And then all the first-time people, or someone who hasn't been to the park in years or decades, walking in and having that expression of just awe. Because how many times have we been to the park? I still get it every time I walk in.
Yep.
I mean, the first time we walked into Galaxy's Edge, I'm a huge Star Wars guy.
So was a Philander.
Oh, I saw that in your profile. I'm like, so we're gonna talk, and I saw you have. I see your shirt there. I see that. I see what you got on. I saw it from word. I'm like, oh,
He's a Star Wars guy.
Star Wars guy. Anyway, so but I still remember I walked in. And I was in complete awe of the whole thing. I mean, Mark was right there. He was right next to me.
You were shaking.
And everybody everybody they're running bets if I was going to start crying or not. Yada yada. And I didn't, but I was quiet for a very long time. And people, they know I don't shut up. And so when I walked in, and you pass through that sound curtain. I call it the sound curtain. You go underneath that, and then all of a sudden everything melts away behind you.
Yeah.
And then you're in the whole new planet. And I'm like, how is this just not the most amazing thing I've ever just went through?
And this was long before Rise even. I mean, this
and
is
before Rise, and then can we talk about Rise for a second? That we were there.
We haven't got there yet.
I just want to say we were there opening day, and I think
I'm sure Philander was there. Like
I know. I'm sure you were there, and I'm sure you wrote it. I know you got the cast preview. I'm sure. But
I got more than that.
Oh no!
Do not ask him.
Oh no! Okay, no,
I'm
calm. I'm calm.
Our training team will work with Imagineering on stuff. So,
right.
And it's a gift and a curse because sometimes I'll end up seeing things early, like really early, so they're not done yet. So,
right.
You know, you take what you can get with that. So, like my way of seeing things sometimes is different because it's not like the fully finished way. Not that it's not awe-inspiring still, but like getting to see things before they are all the way done. So like, you know, being in Galaxy's Edge before it was open while they were still doing touches on it. And it's still great because, you know, it's done enough in a sense that you usually are not walking in spaces that Imagineering needs to turn over things to park operations. So that is when you no longer need boots and a hard hat. That's really what it is.
Okay.
So that's when they all will allow, you know, people that need to come in to train or to start setting up small things that don't necessarily need, you know, construction equipment or anything like that. So when you go in that early, you know, it's not all the way done. So like you still have people there testing like sound things or lighting or they're doing practicing on stuff. So like I remember doing show tests for the Savi's workshop, you know, because they need to practice, you know, like that.
Oh man.
Or, you know, like my first time in that land was from a back entrance, so I didn't get the grandiose way of seeing the Falcon for the first time. Like my view was like a very different one because I came in from like a, you know, that area, as you all know, was blocked off for construction walls from where Big Thunder is. So obviously I wasn't going in there.
Yeah.
So like you go in a different way. So it's like a different thing. But I know what you mean. Like when you talk about coming into that space, and places like Disneyland are becoming far more important now. I think people are starting to either realize it or slowly will, just because as the world continues to get kind of nuttier and every day, places like Disneyland become far more important. Or even as we go further into a digital world, these like tactile experiences that you can touch, smell, feel, hear, those things are becoming more important because the digital world is making it so you don't have to like leave your house for certain things now, or you can experience something with VR, AR, or any kind of technology that keeps you at home. So those kind of places are becoming more important because they act as the escapism from the difficulties of the world that we live in.
Yeah, well said,
and
man.
That the release that you get is, that really awesome like dopamine hit that you get when you go into Disneyland is the reassurance of not only that how much the place means to you, but also like small aspects of it, because a lot of it is rooted in nostalgia. People that usually have big reactions of coming to Disneyland are usually, if they've never been, is because they've heard about it and now they're finally at this place, or it's, even if it's your 2000th visit, there's this it feels there's a hominess to it because that place is soaked in memories. Like
100%.
You can look at, you can remember where you sat to watch a parade or where you met a character. Like because it's the same spot. You remember I met Mickey. I saw Mickey right here, and I ate ice cream watching a parade here, and this is where we brought my family for the first time, and they did this here, and then the attractions are soaked in. Like, it's just so much memory soaked in it that it's hard not to have a like visceral, whether it be a big one or a small reaction when you go in there, because it goes deeper than just and obviously yes, it's a place, but it's rooted in so many things that are connected to your heart and your mind and the smells,
so
the
true.
touch. So those things are they resonate, and it's hard for people that don't understand it to get it. Like, there's the whole annoying trend right now for people who are talking about the Disney adult is met with it's like so much negative connotation associated around it. But it's silly because people look at Disney and the only thing that they think of, they associate Disney with like the childish aspects of it. When it's a company that's always been intended for families. So when people think of Disney, think of cartoons and princesses and fairy tales, and it usually stops there. So when they see an adult connecting with things like this, they are unable to break down that it is far beyond that, and they see like, oh, you're going to this place with characters and castles. When, as you all know, you can have a very elaborate adult experience, not even seeing the castle 1 or a character 2. So they root it in the like youthful aspects of it, and it's harder for them to understand it because that's the only way they see it. When it was designed for everyone to have fun, the initial premise was based around the fact that everyone can enjoy themselves here. But if you can't see it more than just cartoons of a mouse and a princesses and a castle, then you won't be able to see that. And I'm like, that's fine. Keep our lines shorter if that's the case. Like, it's not necessarily for everybody, and that's all right. Like, everybody has their thing, but to like put down someone. That is probably the more fascinating aspect of it, because everyone has their version of Disneyland. Whether it's like the guy that's got his whole house is decorated in like, Vegas Raiders merchandise. Like, it's all the same thing. Like, everyone has their Disneyland. It's just, people don't look negatively at like sports or other things like that. It's just, it's just the childlike nature of that company that provides that negative aspect. Well, which
Well, the funny thing is like we have brought that up. I've brought that up on the show a few times, and I said I'm never going to use Disney adult as a pejorative. People have been, and it annoys me. And as you're talking, I'm like throwing my hands up because I'm like, you're expressing exactly how I feel about it. And I've made the comment on the show. It's like, if someone calls me Disney adult, I'll be like, well, thank you. And they go, well, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it's not my fault, and I'm sorry that you don't get it. I can take you there. I can explain to you these things. I can try to immerse you in that world and get you to try to get that deeper understanding. Like we understand, like Mark, we've had plenty of conversations in the park, walking around. This happened here. This has happened here. We've had this conversation. This is where Walt stood here. Walt's apartment. We go on and on and on, and then that's how we get in really deep. And that's why I said I'm sorry that you don't get it, and I'm sorry that you're missing out. And that's what I said. The people who are like, oh, Disney, blah blah blah, I'm like, I'm sorry that you're missing out on this magic and the magical place and understanding why we connect at that level with it. And it's sad to me. But I will never use it. Yeah, Disney adult is pejorative. I'm like trying to take it back. I'm like, no, it's a positive thing.
It is.
It is a positive thing. You just need to know how to connect and plug into it, and then you can see the beauty of the whole thing of what Disneyland is.
Sure.
Yeah. It's sad because those people are like, the Disney adults are like living their best lives. Like, if anything, like.
Yes.
Like it's interesting to find out or to see that people are having such a great time that people will try to step in that happiness and or ruin it. Yeah. But like they're having a great time. Like they don't need you to care about it or whatnot. Like if you don't see it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Did you all see that funny social media thing where obviously people are like, why do you keep going back there? But a girl did it. She made the joke and did it like. For the beach. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't seen it.
You'll understand as soon as I say it, though. Like, you don't need to see it. The explanation is more than enough, but like it definitely wasn't a visual like joke. But people always ask like, why do you keep going back there? So a girl who obviously is a fan of Disneyland or Disney parks, she made the joke about and just flipped it so it was about the beach. So she's like, oh, are you going back to the beach again? Like, isn't it the same sand? Isn't it the same? It's the same water there, right? Like when you go, or is there something different? So when you look at it that way, like for people who obviously go to the beach all the time, like obviously Disneyland is very dynamic, and you can have thousands of different experiences there depending on what you do.
Sure.
But when it's placed in that type of a context, you now see how ridiculous the statement is because. Obviously, people go to the same vacation destinations. Like, oh, I love going to Hawaii. I go once a year, or I love going here. And they believe that because the place Disneyland has, for the most part, in their simple way of viewing it, has the same rides there for the most part. Mm-hmm. They believe that the experience is the exact same every time when they're not thinking of how often the resort changes or different forms of entertainment or characters or whatever it may be. But when you put it in the context like the museum or a beach, like it's it's the exact same every single time. Yeah. Like, oh, is the sand the same? You're like, yeah, it's the same sand every time. You're right. Like it's not changed. Yeah. So I laugh at that because I mentioned that to people who haven't seen it because it provides that where they're like, oh my God, you're right. Yeah. Why would they make that kind of comment when in actuality? It's ridiculous when applied to any other.
Sure.
Because someone who loves the beach will very clearly defend the beach. Like, well, it's great. I love the beach. And I'm like, well, I love Disneyland. So, like, why? What are we talking about here?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
No, it's so true, though.
Yeah, I loved what you said about that, Philander, because whenever I try to describe why I go back, I always say it's a celebration of memories.
Yeah, no, very true. Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, I was there last week, and it's like I know I have memories of pretty much every part of the park with someone that I love. Going, this has happened here, this happened there, and I love to be there because everything gets ignited again in me, and I love that.
Well, and it also feels like a way to connect even with family members, like my grandparents that are no longer here.
Oh, true.
But kind of a way that I bring them with my children now.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important. Like we are at such a crossroads now for Disney. In Disneyland's history, because the park turns 69 this year.
That's right.
But we're at a point now where we are going to start losing the people that were here at the beginning.
Yeah, I wish she didn't say that.
Because there'll be a time when no one is alive from that first year anymore.
Yeah.
And you're at this crossroad now where, obviously, as time continues to move forward, And the memories that are in that place are half the reason why it's special. My dad, who is 74, I think, he has obviously a lot of great memories from growing up, but he, of course, like many kids, went to Disneyland, and he remembers going on like the teacups, and then he brought me on the teacups, same teacups, and then he came when I brought my daughter on the teacups, and it's the same attraction. So, and he also remembers a lot of places growing up that ran out of business. They're not around anymore. Like they didn't make it, like as just businesses and companies do. But he's like, okay, how special is it that Disneyland is still here? And while the place doesn't necessarily need to have all the same rides, the fact that people are creating shared memory there, is the really important thing. Because no matter, even if you go and do no rides or the same rides, the feelings that are elicited are always the same ones. It's usually joy, obviously happiness. You take photos and make memories. That kind of stuff is super important. And then kids bring their kids, bring their kids, bring their kids. And the important thing for us is always to make sure that we continue to provide a space that makes you feel, no matter how much has changed, it gives you the same feeling every time you go in. Because people hem and haw all the time about, what should go and what should stay and, what should get built and what should get torn down. When in reality, the most important thing is that the feeling when you go in there is the same every time, no matter what is changed. Whether it be a ride leaving or coming, like how do you feel when you enter and when you exit and go home? That's the most important part, because obviously it's changed so much since the original iteration of it when it first opened. And I think usually when it's people that are unfortunately ignorant to that change, when they see like their favorite ride is leaving or their favorite store or something like that, they act like that's the first time we've changed something here. When in actuality, hundreds and hundreds of things have come and gone over the years. But they only know their memories with its start from when they like experienced it as a kid, as opposed to this is a almost 70-year park. I remember when Tower of Terror first left, and obviously that, while it was not here that long, 13 years is long enough. Like, I remember people saying, that's like taking the castle out. And I was like, well, that's a little extreme.
Bit different.
It's a little extreme. And I get it. Like, we very rarely take away popular things. Like, obviously, when they leave or change, it's because they usually were not popular anymore. People have left. So I always, I understand the ferocity that comes from that, because you have so much feeling attached to it. And Bob Iger quoted years ago how special it is that you have people that care so much that they are willing to get angry over the changes. Because other things, like, people could care less if somebody's like, this company is doing this, or like, I don't care, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. But now we're taking this thing that is like soaked in all the memories that you all have been talking about. Now there's like an attack. Like, obviously, WDI and Imagineering is not trying to like take anything from you specifically, but because you have so much memory soaked in whatever it is, like whether it be Splash Mountain or Tower of Terror. Like, I remember my first ride on Tower of Terror, or I took my my cousins and they didn't know what it was. All this memory. Now you're like, it feels like an attack when it's not. It's just a progression, or the change that Walt is constantly talking about in so many different quotes about the adjustments that you need to make. That's why people have those kind of strong memories. But it's great. I mean, it should change. And it's there so you can create new memories is all it is. But as long as you know that you have great times at Disneyland with your family and friends, it shouldn't necessarily matter what you're doing. Like, it's just the joy that comes in the overall experience is what's important.
Absolutely.
And now more than ever, just finding a place where an entire family can connect. It's so challenging, and to have something like that continue is so special.
I mean, and for me, the park for me meant something different. My parents, and this is what I tell people all the time, the story of how I came into loving the park is my parents, they immigrated from Chile, South America, and I'm first-born generation. And one of the things that we moved into, they moved in the Los Angeles area, Disneyland was one of the things that was always a point that whenever somebody came to visit, so family from wherever, it was, we're going to Disneyland. And you built that memory chain. Remember when we went to Disneyland? My cousin was here, my aunt was here, and then this was came. And so it is incredibly important that is true, that we can continue to do that. So now with our podcast, with Mark, how many times have we've done things together, and we will still talk about that.
Sure.
Remember when we did this? Remember do that? Yeah. And it is, and I guess it's one of those things that it can be a curse too when people, like you're saying, they're taking this out. I mean, I remember when Tower Terror, we're like, what are they doing? Oh man, what, you know, they started building the exterior facade for Mission Breakout, and we're like, what? And we were all trying to figure out what is going on, what is going on, what is going on, and everybody, we're all, we're freaking out.
Sure.
I mean, we can talk about how much we freaked out over Galaxy's Edge at another time, because that's a whole other 3-hour conversation.
Sure.
But I'm sure you got a lot of those. But at the end of the day, it's like that's what happened. And remember when you're sitting, Mark? Remember we're sitting in the line for Mission Breakout, and we had that lady in front of us, and they were talking and they were talking. We started talking. We could hear her begin talking about Tower Terror and how it was there before. And I think, and then remember, and then Mark is the guy who likes to ask questions, and he goes, "I got to ask you a question." And you're like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, he goes, "Excuse me, which one do you like better? Which one do you like better?" And she's like, "Oh, this one, hands down." And we all sat there and kind of looked at her and like, "Yeah, this one's it's just better.
It's just better."
Yeah, and so this is where like with Tiana's coming, a lot of people are like, "What's going on?" And that's why I'm like, I want it. Like we're starting to get pictures and stuff from Florida, and I'm like, and then we were sharing the picture coming out about the nighttime. We're like, "Oh, that looks cool."
It looks spectacular.
It looks spectacular.
Oh yeah, it looks beautiful.
And so these are the things is like we get. Yeah, you're right. Like because we're so deep in memories and we're so deep in connection. Whenever something like that, like we start getting really like antsy. We get nervous. Like, what are you doing with something that I'm holding close to my heart? And here we go.
Just trust. You gotta go.
I know. And see, this is like we go up and down. Like I said, I'm going up. I feel positive. I'm like, oh no, wait, what is that? Oh no, it's going down again. I'm like, and then you have this roller coaster. I'm like, okay, try to take a breath, but it's difficult because we are so emotionally invested in something that I've been going through my whole life. I mean, my first trip to Disneyland was I was in my mom's belly. I mean, she was like, yeah, your first trip was you weren't even born yet. Like, so it's one of those things. Like when it's that deep in your soul and in your psyche, like it's hard to just kind of like take a moment, but it is because I mean I've gone on tirades so many a time because I'm like, but it is all coming from a positive place and a passion for that park, man. It's an amazing place. So
it's funny seeing especially with Tiana's Bio Adventure coming up, like obviously the chatter of it changing, but it's funny how much it swung when they showed the animatronics.
Oh
where
man,
everyone's like,
yeah, I bet.
It was like now it's a very different conversation than it was a year ago.
Oh yeah,
when now like it's more than an idea, and now you can see the effort being put in.
Oh yeah,
because the initial thought always, all the time, and this is just I think just humans in general, is always a negative one.
Oh yeah,
like they're gonna mess it up. You
Yeah.
know, it never is like it's gonna be great. Like it's always like. And again, it's because you care a lot, you know, and they're taking away something that's different. But the emphasis is never put on like it's going to be amazing, you know, and to trust. Because I always tell people like I have friends who work on these things, like they care just as much as you.
Oh yeah.
Like I know you'll never see them, or you may never meet them, but like they are all fans that are now in a position where they get to create for. Guests, just like when they went as a kid, other Imagineers created for them, so they understand the value and importance. And you know, I often bring up like they've got a pretty great track record for reimagining attractions. Like it's not done, whether it be Frozen Ever After or Mission Breakout or Tiana's Bio Adventure. Anytime we've changed something over to something else, like it's gone pretty well. And I think, and their job really is that we need to kind of how I put it earlier, we need to make it as good as what it was or better. You just can't go backwards. Like if Tiana's Bio Adventure needs to be as good as Splash Mountain or better, or you get that negative chatter about it, you know, because otherwise it's a comparable experience. Obviously it's not changing that much as far as you are going to fall and get wet. But when people see, and I can tell you, when they see the interior and all that's been put in, like it's way more than I think people are even like ready for it. And I'm hoping that everybody, and I get it because it's a Star World right now where they're gonna watch YouTube videos of it for Magic Kingdom. But ours is going to be different, so that's nice, like a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that people save themselves if they can help it to see it, because you only get one first ride on something.
Yeah,
that's true.
And like you all remember when you rode Rise of Resistance for the first time, and what that's like to not have that spoiled for you.
Oh yeah.
So I know people don't listen to that, but but I like what you brought up earlier about the changing, because I've noticed a lot with that changing aspect in history with my daughter. So a fun thing that I like to tell people who have it's hard for them to see the change is take it from the perspective of like a child. So a child coming to Disneyland. So when you look at my daughter who's 7 coming to Disneyland now, the youth that are coming to Disneyland now have the most fascinating look at Disneyland of any of us, because she is growing up in a Disneyland that has always had Star Wars in it.
Oh, yeah.
She knows no different than that. The
Yeah.
people that lament that being there or don't care for it,
Sure.
that's my daughter's version of Disneyland, and she adores it with that in it. You know, Spider-Man will always have been in California Adventure. She doesn't know any different than that.
Oh, yeah.
And they will look at it without the nostalgic lens right now, because Disneyland is just fun. Like, what do I have to look at that's negative about it? You know, how much it's changed. The people that didn't want Star Wars there, or didn't want this there or that there, you know, they don't know any different. I've even had a fun joke with my wife that, you know, I'll take my daughter to Walt Disney World and she'll put her, I'll put her on Tower of Terror, and she'll get up and say, "Oh, Daddy, that's just like the Guardians ride at DCA."
Yeah,
because she'll have zero clue that even used to be Tower of Terror. Like, unless it's explained to her, she'll just think they're both the similar ride, not even knowing that it changed at one point. And to look at it with that lens, where the next generation that will be at Disneyland beyond us, they're growing up in the version, because everyone loves the Disneyland version of their youth. That's like their favorite one.
That's so true.
It's the one like, oh, when I was a kid, Disneyland it used to be so amazing when I was a kid. Like, they look at it from that lens always. Like, it was never better than when I was a kid. You know, so the children now, they're going to look at this Disneyland that some people don't care for, and that's the one that they love the most, because they get this different way of seeing it than because they haven't gotten to the sometimes jaded aspects that adults bring to things. And they look at it as just the purity of a fun place and nothing else.
Sure.
So they will be like, you know, our Pirates of the Caribbean is their web slingers.
Right.
You know, who are those people to deny them that love for that thing that you didn't want in here so badly?
Yeah.
And that's their favorite thing that they remembered as a kid coming. That's the Web Slingers is their Haunted Mansion. It's their Big Thunder. It's their Space Mountain. It's their Small World. Like, that's their Toy Story is their Disneyland Railroad. It's their, you know, it's their Davy Crockett canoes. Like, people need to look at it from a different lens so that they can appreciate it in its like totality and what it means, because it will be here long after all of us talking about it now. You know, because the need for places like that, like I said earlier, is only going to get more important. It's definitely not going to decrease.
No.
You know, as it becomes more digital, as the world gets crazier every day, like, that's going to keep happening. And I want always for people to look at it from that different lens so that they can find a much deeper appreciation, because I look at Disneyland that way on everything. Like, I see value in everything that's there. It might be the best version of something, like it can be better, but when people say they should take that out, I'm like, well, let's talk about that for a minute. Like, why do you want it gone, and does it have any value in the park from a either emotional standpoint or a operational standpoint or a business standpoint? Like, why is that there? Because, you know, we for the most part will remove things that no longer generate revenue or people don't like it. Like I mentioned, we don't take things out until people tell us that they're over it. You know, like, people are like, I wish they would bring the Muppets back, but I'm like, you all didn't show up to that. That's why it's gone now. Like, that when you walked into it, there'd be like 6 people in there with you. Like,
Sure.
So
Always.
You told us that you didn't want it anymore by not going. You know?
Well, no, and that's the funny part is like I have that point where we talk about is like, sometimes we get so caught up in the experience that we forget there is a financial side to this. And I've said, you know, Disney is a huge company now, huge. And I always say, look, like it, dislike it, it doesn't even matter. It's a reality. They're
Right.
there to make money. And that is a harsh reality that some people don't like and they can't wrap their head around. So, yeah, we won't like everything, that every move that the company's going to make, obviously. But at the end of the day, and I've said it often, is like, they're there to make money. So,
Can I say my favorite Disneyland business quote?
okay.
Yes.
I cannot take credit for this, but it's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
So the quote is, and it's aligned to this. I don't remember who said this because I need to give them credit.
Yeah.
But it was years ago, and it is seared into my brain like a steak. Like it will not leave because people always bring up, price raises and things like that. That always comes up. But the quote is, everyone knows that Disneyland is a business, but hates when it acts like one.
That is a very good quote.
Because you cannot be okay. Like, you are fine with your higher gas prices, or you deal with that, your higher food, movie tickets. But when we raise the price, now it's World War III. Now, how dare they?
Sure.
How dare they raise the ticket price there? When you're paying now $5 for gas, and you remember when you were younger and you first got your car when it was what, $2 or something like that?
$1.75.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 99
How
cents.
dare they? How could they? How could they do that?
Yeah.
They are so wrong for that.
Yep.
Like, let me see if I have this quote here. I'm going to read you this quote from Walt, because anytime that people don't, they think that the pricing thing is like a new thing. Like that was not stuff that Walt and Roy did back in the day. So there's a quote that Walt said back in 1963, I think it was. And I have it saved because I got to give people these exact quotes because sometimes,
Yeah.
So Walt said, this is back in 1963, is when they had to raise prices. I think it was for parking or whatnot. I guess that's not important because they did it back then. But Walt said, and this is quote for quote, "I don't care what guests think about how much they pay when they come in. I care what they think when they leave. There might be some sticker shock, but they're going to have such a great experience all around at Disneyland. They're going to be grateful." And that's it.
Yeah.
As long as we give you what we charged you for, that part should not nearly as matter. Do you feel after you left that you got the value of it done? Because if that's not the case anymore, then we have work to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're doing a great job because our attendance continues to go up every year.
Absolutely.
Despite the price raises.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Because I see people, spending $2,000 to go to a concert. And I'm like,
not me.
But we're too expensive?
I know, right?
So I always laugh at those kind of things or I had a friend that I think did $8,000 to go to the Super Bowl this year, and I was like, wow, I'm sure you had a great time, at that 3-hour game, but don't tell me that if you did an open to close at Disneyland, which is a 16-hour day, that you would not get the value out of what we four of us know is in those parks for 16 hours. That you would not get the value out of that. So as long as we deliver on the experiences that we give, the price shouldn't matter as long as you feel you got the value. And I will not discourage anybody if they believe that the value is now gone. Then I understand that because it's such a subjective and opinionated decision.
Yeah, very true.
And that's why some people don't go there anymore, and that's totally fine. But we are, as long as you are getting what you believe the value of it was, then that's our only job. If we make it cost one day $2,000 in it, we need to give you a $2,000 experience.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And in certain cases, we have work to do. In other cases, we're knocking out of the park.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But we're all human beings, and we always lament. I mean, I've often lament, man, how is it? Mark is always the guy who's like, we can lament the prices and the price increase because we report on it, and then it's always the next thing. But we're still gonna go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
We're still gonna go.
Yeah.
We're still gonna go, and we're still gonna have a great time. And that's it. Always just like. And I look at Mark, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. We could go like, oh man, they raised the price again. So now it's one day, and then we start doing the math, and so that means we got to do this, and then automatically our trip creator goes off in our head like, so that means we can drive down there. We've had these conversations often, or we fly, and then we can stay there, and then automatically all that kicks in, and then we all of a sudden it's like, man, that means it's going to be X amount of dollars, and then we're like, oh. We're still gonna go though.
Yeah, but where's that gonna go?
Yeah, and maybe that means you change your visitation habits. Like some people that used to go 6 times a year now only go 3. But like the drive to go never really leaves. It's just maybe we need to adjust how we go.
Yeah,
you know, because I always say like, oh, I don't go to Disneyland at all anymore because it's too expensive. I'm like, well, hang on a minute, like. You stopped going, period, or you just aren't going as much as you used to be? Because now it's just, if that's the case, maybe you're adjusting because people are intelligent enough to use the dollars they make on things they want, whether that be your Starbucks coffee or you getting your streaming services or going to the movies. Like, people set aside money for the things they
absolutely. Yep.
So if you're just not going at all anymore, like, that's a very specific choice because we four know that all you have to do is now just go a little less. Where you make like an adjustment to your trip so you can still go. But the complete erasure of it out of your life, like, that's always like seems like such an extreme thing to me. Like, oh, we used to go to Disneyland, 4 times a year. Now we stopped going altogether because it's too expensive. Like, why don't you just go once a year? Like,
I know, right?
Why would you stop it altogether? But I mean, people obviously can make their choice, and clearly based off of obviously when you all go and the parks have tons of bodies in them that. We are doing our job because you can truly trust the opinion and decisions of a person based on how much money they will spend on it. Because people will rant and rave about how, maybe Disneyland is bad at this or bad at that. But the only true thing is, will they continue to spend money on it? Because that's the only metric that really gets the opinions out of the way. Like, oh, I don't like Disneyland anymore, but you continue to pay to go to it. Like, well, which one is it? Because like you're still going, but you said you didn't like it. Like the metric that we're basing it on is, we'll know that we're in trouble when people stop showing up. But if they don't show up, like, then we assume that we're doing a good job. Because if we base it only off of internet comments, it'll seem like, oh my God, we fail at everything. But how can we be failing at everything if people just keep coming? Like, so which one is it? Is it just the person who's bitter at home, the keyboard warrior who's trashing
a lot of
Disneyland, or is it like, are we actually doing a job? Because either like we're just the greatest, like, what was the joke I said? Either we're just like incredibly good at like deceiving people, like millions of people every year, or shocker, we're actually doing a pretty good job. We could be better, heck yeah, but we'll know when people just stop arriving. Then we're like, oh, we got to make some changes, whether it be prices or bringing in new experiences. And clearly, as you all know, based on Disneyland Forward and what's to come, like there's a lot there. We're going to be soon giving you more reasons than ever to show up.
Thank you.
Okay, we can't go down that.
Oh, Disney! No, we're not going. We're going to be here because
do not tempt.
Oh
for them
man,
to do that.
don't. See, you threw the line out there, Philander, and I'm like, and I want to bite, but okay.
Well, you should be excited. Like, it's a big time. It's a big time for the resort, and I think a lot of people. The last time it's big, and I'm sure, and we can definitely talk about this, many other times, but I think it's bigger than most people realize, because while it's easy to look at it from a superficial level of like, more rides are coming, but this type of expansion has not been done since DCA first came in 2001. So other than that, this is like a massive turning point for the future of this resort. Like, even more so than when Cars Land came, because that was big for a reason, but this is big for a whole other different reason. And a lot of people either necessarily maybe they weren't fans at that point, or they weren't going, or they weren't as entrenched in like Disney lore or history or what's coming. So this has a lot more resonance now for people because they have the wherewithal to understand that historically this is a massive shift right now that is going to change a whole lot about that resort, and only the people that were the big fans and the two. Thank you. I love storytelling. So if I got that kind of reaction,
I am. I just said my
So when you're talking about Disney Forward, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you made the comments like we're at a point like in the park, and I've been saying it for a while that in the history of Disney and the park, and so I try to do my best to try to delineate between the company and the park, because I think understanding the differences in the both is kind of important, and I just think it is. It's good to do that. But the one thing that I've been saying for a while is like we are in the most pivotal point in the company's history right now, and I've said it's like, but I feel like it's all we're turning in the positive direction. That everything that's going on, is we're going for better. And then as this whole, we've been following Disney forward, I mean, all the way from the Eastern Gateway Project and things like that. We're always following along. Like, this is what they want to do. That didn't go, this didn't go. Like, oh, man. And then we've been following this Disney forward for a while. And as soon as it started boiling up, we started everybody started, well, what's going to happen? And so what the voting and everything that happened and the approvals, and I got worried. I'm like, okay, but what are they going to do now? And so they hear, and so it's like, okay, this is just like the door got opened. Okay, so the door's open now. It's like, okay, so but what are we going? What's going to come through the door now? Yeah. And so when I hear you say that, I'm like, I'm getting goosebumps because I'm like, yes, because I like coming from your point of view. It means something, because we can talk and go and float in circles, and you hear say this person this person that, positive, negative, up, down. You're like, well, I don't know what to believe. And when I hear that stuff, it's like you want to believe that what's going to be coming is going to be something that we're not ready for. Right. And going back to the point of like we need this more than ever in our world and our society. And so I'm stoked. Like I'm completely. We're all excited. Like we've had many conversations already about what can they do, and we started dissecting. Yeah. We just had our live show on YouTube. And we were talking exactly this thing. And we brought up the map and started discussing, like, well, what can we do? And so the level of anticipation and excitement for this, and by you making your comments, it just has me on another level kind of excited and jacked for this. And I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, the enormity of it, I think, can sometimes be lost. Because, like I said, a lot of people are focusing on, like, we get new rides. Like, yes, that is wonderful, you know, and new lands and things like that. But the enormity of having the money and the backing of the city, that is where you can go. And the company, obviously, when it comes to things like that, has no problem spending big, especially under leadership that's like Bob Iger, who, you know, is responsible for so many elaborate things that we've done over the years, whether it be the Cars lands, the avatars, the Galaxy's Edges, like those things like that, like even now in other places, so like Fantasy Springs in Tokyo or Zootopia, like Frozen, the World of Frozen in Hong Kong, like this type of expansion is big because, you know, especially with places like our resort, we don't get too many big things that often, and we get a lot of things, obviously, and I don't know why people don't think that we do. We get so much stuff. And I think it's obviously going to take time, but it's for people to remember that stuff is always being worked on. And I think when we live in this kind of world now where it's like such a fast-paced thing, like, you know, you get on a ride that took 4 years to design and 3 years to build, and you ride it in 5 minutes, and you're like, what's next after you get off? And you're like, whoa, like we just spent almost a decade making this thing for you, and you got off of it in a few minutes, and you're like, where's the next thing? Like, you know, we're at a point where if you look at the trajectory of how things come from our company, like we do a lot of Imagineering and then building, and then there's like a small pause, and then we do it again, you know, but it takes time to create these things. Like people think things like Galaxy's Edge just like pop up. Like I remember when it was even first like hinted that something like that was coming was back in 2013, you know, for Galaxy's Edge. Because at the D23 Expo, they had a small section, which was not super big in Imagineering, but it was a small section with crates, like Star Wars themed crates, and R2D2 was there, and he had a name tag on. And that was the first inkling that something beyond just Star Tours was coming. Then the model or the announcement from Bob Iger came at the 2015 Expo. Then we didn't even see the model that was at the Expo till the 2017 Expo, and then the land finally opened in 2019. Right. But they've been thinking about that since 2013. Like, sometimes, you know, to get the scale that people are wanting, it takes time. And I think the big issue that people have sometimes is that since Disney likes to announce things, and the announcing thing is an important part of the business because you're letting shareholders know that you are about to do something big, that people now attach themselves to that announcement and the concept art, and then now they just kind of sit and wait. But you look at the trajectory of when we bring things, like count when Bob Iger made his big redo of DC, the reimagining, though it's like a little over $1 billion put into that.
Oh, yeah.
In that 5-year span from 2007 to 2012, we got Toy Story Midway Mania in 2008, Little Mermaid in 2011, World of Color in 2010, and then Buena Vista Street and Cars on in 2012. So that was 5 years of one after the other big things that all came to the park, new rides, shows, experiences. Then we took a pause because things are getting Imagineered. Then we start up again. And the next big swing of things coming. In 2017, you get Mission Breakout. Then in 2018, you get Pixar Pier. Then in 2019, you get Galaxy's Edge. Then 2020, technically in 2021, goes to Avengers Campus and Mickey New Toontown and Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, and then Tiana. Now there's that small break again. And then the next wave of things is coming. And this is no different than what's happening at Walt Disney World, where people are like, Disneyland is so slow, they're not doing anything, or the parks are slow. But when they look backwards at all the things that have come up, like they just gave you year after year, Tron, Ratatouille, Frozen, Avatar, Avatar, Galaxy's Edge, Runaway Railway, like one after the year, and all that stuff just takes time, and it's just easier for them to do waves. It's so different. Like if you look back on our history, when they're a bunch of Imagineers get hired because Epcot is being worked on, or a bunch of Imagineers get hired because Tokyo is about to be built. Like you get kind of a surge. So we're on the cusp now of the next massive surge of new development for us. With what Bob Iger has mentioned about Avatar, and then everything else after that. And he keeps talking like they aren't ready to say yet, but if you listen to, they are not even remotely lying to you when say that we have things coming, we're turbocharging, we have so much untapped potential, like all of that stuff is not them just talking.
Sure.
It's they are seeing the things that you're not, and they aren't ready to share it yet because we, I think, want to get to a point, and I'm speaking just on my behalf. I'm not in those decision-making rooms, but you want to get to a point where you don't announce something until you know for sure it's coming.
Sure.
Because you don't want to make empty promises, because you say something's coming and it's not, then you get negative, feedback from that. So if they need to hold their cards a little longer, then they may have to do that, and it's up to us to hopefully understand the Imagineering process. Like people love learning about what they do, and they see videos of these animatronics being built and think that they're doing it in a single night, or and not even before the animatronic was built, just what's the Imagineering that even takes place before that, all the vetting that needs to be done, for space and technology and money like that, and to just be patient that these great things will come. I love to talk about, think for example, I love to, if I can, with people that are not as well versed in our history, to equate or to match up current issues that people have with Disney to the same thing that happened in the past. So a lot of complaints that people have about Disney actually have happened before in our history. They just weren't alive for it or ignorant to it. So a fun example of that is Haunted Mansion. I think you all know from history that building sat there for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So for 7 years, that building sat there and did not open. And people, for all we know, at the time, were largely okay with that, right? Or imagine, if everyone huffed when Galaxy's Edge opened without Rise or Resistance in it, we knew it was coming. But I'm like, well, Walt Disney opened New Orleans Square with no rides in it. And they were okay with that. If they could live through that, then you can wait a few more months for Rise or Resistance. Can you imagine if we opened a land now with no rides in it, what people would say?
Oh, yeah, no.
No, I can't.
Oh, yeah. People would be like, what is this? Where are the rides at? And I'm like, well, when Walt made New Orleans Square, it lived on its own. People enjoyed the entertainment, the shopping, and the dining. That was it. Then, of course, Pirates came. Then, of course, Haunted Mansion came. But, they were okay with that. That was enough, and it wasn't that that was it. Like, more is coming, you know, like you just have to, the people have to be patient for it. You know, I think the important thing always is that we are continuing to create, and not that how long it takes. If you see that nothing is being worked on, then I think you have more reason to complain.
Sure.
But as long as you know, because I always tell people, like, Imagineering every day, like Monday through Friday, is at WDI in Glendale working on the next thing for you. So, but because you can't see it, you just assume, like, well, what are they doing? Like, there's no rides. Like, they're not working. I'm like, well, like, they're doing, you know, they showed that little fun preview online of, like, that model for Animal Kingdom, you know, like, someone made that and they're making little adjustments to that. Or, oh, we were out in Venezuela doing research for it, you know, Encanto. Like, it's all happening. It's just when you're not privy to it, you believe that, oh, they're slacking or they're falling behind. Like, not that the job of these men and women is literally to clock in every day and work on the next ride that you're going to be riding in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, you know, like the amount of design and thought that had to go into Rise of Resistance, you know.
I can't.
And everyone's like, well, where's the next one? I'm like, well, we're working on it. It just takes a really long time. And we've been working on it since you've been riding, since you've been enjoying Pixar Pier and World of Color and all these other things like that, you know, while you were having a grand time on, you know, Incredicoaster, we were working on, you know, Rise then. Yeah. You know, but it's just we didn't tell you what it was then. But we were working on it while you were doing that. Just like while everyone's lined up and excited for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, they are building the lands that are going into Disneyland Forward. What? It's just you just don't you just don't know because everyone's like, where's the next thing? And that's just our society. It's just one of those things.
Oh no, I was going to say the same thing. That I think that's a more social commentary than anything. No, because but the thing is, we all suffer from that. I know I suffer from it. That's what I was saying with Tiana's Bayou. You know, we're all like, well, why, what's going on? What's the right? You know, we get into it. We get like we talk about. We get very apprehensive because Splash, even though we didn't ride it a lot, like, but it still has memory. Like the last ride that we rode it was years ago, and it was with a listener who used to be a cast member. He worked the overnight shift, and he had never rode it. He was afraid of it. Mind you,
he was a
ex-Marine, combat Marine vet, and he would like, I'm not going to ride that thing. Like, why?
He's too afraid of it.
He was too afraid of it. His one and only ride ever was with us.
Yeah.
And we got him on it, and so that's why. So this is why I go like, man, Disney, just please, and they really have now, and it's like, please start giving these things to help, like, because that wave you can't ride. And react to everything that's said, you know, negatively about what's going on. But I always feel like just give me a little bit. So now what they've been doing with the display of the animatronics, that when that came out, we commented and we're like, holy crap, that looks amazing. We just the podcast our previous episode, we just talked about that and how great they look. And I'm like, and then it just made me, because like I said, up and down. We're riding that roller coaster. It's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. And we all want it to be, as like you're saying, as good as, if not better.
Yeah. In fact, he got to sign the I-beam.
Oh yeah.
In Galaxy's Edge as a cast member.
Same here.
And instead of signing his name, he signed our podcast.
Our podcast is up there.
I'm like, dude, you don't need to do that. But he took a picture. Yeah. And anyways.
That was crazy, yeah.
So we're running up against some time here, and but here's the thing: I have a lot of questions for you, Philander, about your job. Not like future plans, but just more about what you do and stuff. But we will shelve those for a future.
Yeah.
When you come on the show, but I do want to talk. I want to ask you probably like 5 fun Disneyland questions.
Yeah, we ask everybody.
And I'm asking Philander the fan, not Philander the cast member.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. And how much time do we have? I want to make sure, because you said 25 minutes. We're down to 10.
Okay. That should be enough.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay. All right. And remember, this is you as the fan.
Yeah.
What are your 3 favorite attractions at the park?
Haunted Mansion, Rise of the Resistance, and what would that last one be? I feel like it's probably Pirates and I bounce out. I bounce back and forth between that and Haunted Mansion. I'm gonna say Pirates. I will always. I like. It needs to be heavy in storytelling for me to have a really strong appreciation and value for it. Like, I do enjoy Disney thrills, but like when Imagineering designs attractions, like the thrill needs to be in service to the story. Like, we're not just spinning you around just to do it. Like, there needs to be a reason for it. You know, like so obviously there's like coaster parks all over the world that just their whole thing is like, how many times can we flip you upside down? But like, you know, with the thrill, the reason I don't lean on the thrill rides as much is only because the speed as to which the rides go sometimes takes away from the story elements for it. You know, so like as an example, Incredicoaster will say like a lot of the story heavy lifting is done in the queue on the monitor. And you get a little bit of it on the ride, of course. But a lot of heavy lifting is done before you even get on the vehicle to set you up for the experience, as opposed to things like Haunted Mansion, Pirates, Rise. The storytelling is a continuous thing from beginning to end. So I will always love rides. And the fun thing about those three that I named is that the two obviously influenced the one, because Rise of Resistance is such a model of Haunted Mansion and Pirates, or a modern day version of the combination of those two experiences, where you know, you get immersive storytelling, or 3-act, you know, experiences like that. So I will always choose a dark ride over a thrill ride every time. Not that I'm not a fan of. I love roller coasters. I love thrills that Disney provides, or any other theme parks, but it's always story for me. Like, and how we can put you in a place and make you forget, or make you wonder, or make you believe. You know, those are the things that are so prevalent in dark rides, where we get to control the environment and really put forth every effort, technology-wise, to create these realized experiences. And you don't get that as much from roller coasters. You know, like Big Thunder is my favorite Disneyland roller coaster. But it's not, you know, Pirates, Rise, or Mansion. You know,
absolutely.
It's a very different experience. You know, but those are my three, and I'm going to cut myself off talking because I'll talk for 10 minutes about that answer. So
okay.
Do you have a preference though of Mansion at the holidays versus just
that's fun.
normal?
So my colleagues and I were just talking about this today. So my preference is definitely the Haunted Mansion normal one.
There you go.
I do not think that ride should be that way year round, because the reason we love it is that it comes around every year. So we get excited for it to show up, and if it was here year round, that leaves.
Agreed.
I don't care if I like it, but the reason it pales to the Haunted Mansion is for two reasons to me. One, all of the black lighting we use in it makes it a lot brighter inside the mansion, and it spoils some of the special effects. So it's like when you go in the graveyard sequence, it's so black lit in there that you can see the scrim. So I'm not a big fan of that. And then probably the more important one is that the Haunted Mansion, there's not a lot of context to it. So as an example, if you have not seen that movie, there's not really any setup as to what you're seeing. You know what? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that overlay was done based off of the fandom of that. But if you've never seen that movie, they don't do anything to set you up for those characters. So like I told my colleagues today, like, you know, at the end of that experience, you see Oogie Boogie, right? But you have no idea, if you've never seen the movie, that is the bad guy of the movie. Like nothing tells you that about him at all. Like you see Jack Skellington, but if you've never seen that movie, like, who is that? Like, you know, or you see Sally, but you don't even know that she loves Jack based on maybe the subtle fact that they have her staring at him in that sequence of the ride, but you don't get a idea of why they're here. Like when you see the movie, you understand completely why they have taken over the Haunted Mansion, but it provides, like, Rise of Resistance does not need you to have seen Star Wars to know what's going on.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think if maybe that ride had like a pre-show or something that set up the characters more, but that ride, the success of it is based solely off of the fact that it's the fans that are really pumping that up, that grew up with that movie or love it. But I spent a lot of time giving people like a Spark Notes version of that movie if they've never seen it, so they get what's happening in there, or like who is this person that I'm seeing? Like, who's Jack? Or, you know, the Oogie's little kids pop up at the end. You know, I'm like, who are they? I don't know. Like, who are all these people? The normal haunted mansion does not need you to have any setup. It is just a haunted mansion. And obviously, if you dive into its lore, you learn about the individual characters, of course, but not knowing who Constance or the Hatbox Ghost are does not take away from your ride experience. Sure. So that is my whole very long-winded way of saying that.
Okay, Philander, what is your favorite snack or meal at the park?
Oh, my favorite meal just got taken away. I'm so sad about it. I posted about it not too long ago, but my 5-cheese ravioli with pine nuts and pesto that was at Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta is now gone.
Oh, shit.
And I always so jokingly say never fall in love with anything food-wise, because they'll take it away and make you sad about it. But I really love that meal because it was made like super fresh. So fresh, in fact, that I'm sure you all have been in that restaurant. Yeah. You know, they were, I would sometimes wait for them not to be one there, and you would see them put a hot one down literally right there. Like, you knew it wasn't sitting there. And that was just such a great meal. You know, it wasn't crazy, unhealthy. Not that that's a problem. I think my snacks when it comes to treats are pretty dependent on the weather. Like, I love Dole Whip when it's hot. I don't necessarily care for it as much when it's cold. Obviously, the taste is the same, but I just don't want it then. Like, I love a churro, warm churro when it's cold. Like a fresh churro, like to bite into is amazing. Like, but not when it's 95 degrees. I don't want a hot bread. You know what I mean? So I usually base it off of that. But usually those two are like my go-tos. I love the dough that we use for our pretzels as well. Like, obviously it's just bread, but I like the dough that we use specifically for that. Okay. I would probably say those, but really truly it depends on the weather, because I don't want a hot pretzel either when it's summertime. So
sure. Okay. Is Disneyland better at day or night for you?
Night.
Okay.
Without question.
Okay. And where do you like to be at that magic hour when the lights turn on?
I feel like it's got to be, and it's probably a nostalgia base. It's got to be, I feel like it's got to be Main Street. Obviously, lighting, the Imagineers that work on lighting are masters at their jobs, and they spend such time. Like, I can't wait for people to see the Tiana lights. That's beautiful, but they spend so much time working on that. But Main Street evokes, I think it's the combination of the old, like, kind of popcorn style lighting with the gaslit lamps.
Yes, absolutely.
That does it. And then obviously Game Over when it's Christmas. But Game Over, like, that's where I want to be, obviously, when those lights come on or when the tree's lit. But I feel like it's the combination of the type of lighting. Like, it's not like LEDs. It's like a very classic style popcorn lighting, and then that alongside the gaslit lamps and having them be real, like seeing the flickering flame.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that adds so much more context and a little bit of narrative, obviously, because gaslit lamps on a turn-of-the-century town, like, it evokes that, like, the feeling that is supposed to be coming from a land that was, you know, is supposed to be from a different time period.
Sure, for sure.
So definitely Main Street for me. But I mean, I could obviously Galaxy's Edge is too good, and
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's say you're going to bring some friends or some family members into Disneyland. Not as a cast member, but as you, and they go, Philander, I don't even like this place. I don't even get it. I don't understand it. Where do you take them to, or show them to, that best exemplifies what Walt was trying to do with this park?
That's probably, I think that's, well, I have done, I do, and we'll have to talk about this another time, but I do polls.
Okay.
Sometimes, obviously, to ask people questions, no different than this, but I love hearing people's thoughts and opinions about Disneyland and then discussing them. But
sure.
I think that's New Orleans Square. That, to me, is the best land at that resort for multiple reasons. If you categorize lands into their different functions, so like attractions, dining, entertainment, theming, like that.
Yeah.
If you break it down, that one wins every time. Like, because obviously, as an example, you can use something like, let's use Cars Land as an example. Attractions, like, pretty great. Obviously, you have 2 small, like, C tickets, and there obviously Racers is incredible. Theming, incredible. Dining, you know, like, it's fine. Obviously, you can take or leave it how you feel about flows. You know, it's diner food. And, But when you break down every land, you'll notice that each land, it's not hitting on one or two of those things.
Mm-hmm.
When New Orleans Square knocks all of them out of the park. Obviously, theming, unmatched. Dining, unmatched. If you're counting Blue Bayou, Catherine Orleans, Royal Street Veranda, like Harbor Galley, I mean, even Club 33, if you want to include that in New Orleans Square, but food unmatched, attractions unmatched. Pirates and Haunted Mansion are arguably two of the most iconic theme park rides on the planet.
Absolutely.
The theming is unmatched. It looks like a romanticized version of New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
Entertainment with the Bootstrappers, the Jambalaya Jazz, Fantasmic is done there. Like that land, it has no weaknesses theoretically to me other than its size. Like it's small.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think that also adds to its charm at the same time as well. So for me to understand, and there's a charm to it in the sense that we'll never make a land like that again. Like you can tell that Walt made that way on purpose because it's so tiny and little and all those little alleyways that in modern theme park day design, we would never replicate that because the amount of crowds that come now. That's why when you look at things like Galaxy's Edge and World of Pandora, they're all big walkways because they're expecting crowds.
Yeah.
But when they designed New Orleans Square, that was not the case at all.
Right.
And that charm is there because that will never be done again. There's no way they'll do that again. So for me, I think it's New Orleans Square specifically because you get those two iconic attractions. And obviously, you'll eventually get someone to like the newer things, but to truly look at what Walt was attempting to do, like in the long term, that's the case. Because when you see the original attractions, like the ones in Fantasyland, like you get a sense of what could be there. But New Orleans Square is the fully realization of Walt of where this was going, because places like Cars Land and Galaxy's Edge and all newer lands are largely pretty much modeled after New Orleans Square if you break them down into like their smallest components. Whether it be like, because most lands now have no more than 2 rides in them. Like when you think everyone's like, oh, Fantasyland's got 9 rides in it, or why is it only 2 rides? I'm like, because that's all it needs. Like you don't need this 15 rides in this new area. If you make them both really good, like then it doesn't need a ton of stuff in it. You just need the things in it to have value. Like a land like Galaxy's Edge can stand on its own, because I think you all would know, you three know from going there, that you can spend a long time in there not doing either of the rides. And that's a testament to the land design. That's the case. And if a land can stand on its own without the rides, then that to me is the truest measure of success for a land, that you can enjoy it without having to do the attraction. Right. Obviously, the attractions are going to bring you into it for the most part, but if you can go in there and eat and shop and see a character and watch a show and then leave, that's a win for me.
Absolutely. All right, and last question: do you collect anything from the park?
What do I collect? I did artwork for a long time, but that became really problematic because there's only so much wall space.
Right.
So I stopped that. I think my only real my serious collection now. I have so many books. I probably should stop doing that. I need to do with them because I'm constantly reading Disney history or Disney books.
Yeah, for sure.
But if that doesn't count, because reading's kind of like a hobby.
That counts.
I guess that counts.
Sure.
So books.
Yeah, that counts.
But then I have a very massive collection of things connected to my career.
Okay.
So a lot of unique things, and I'll have to show you them at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
But things that I've amassed that are connected to moments of my career. So as an example, working a lot of events over the years, for 12 years, I have the lanyards from all of them.
Oh, nice.
So
cool.
I have the lanyard from when, Cars Land, Galaxy's Edge, Avengers Campus, special events or movie premieres or things. So those are all connected to memory. So obviously when they give us those things, they have a functional purpose. Like, you need to wear this lanyard, you won't get in this area. But obviously there's nothing that is making me keep it other than the fact that I want to remember being a part of this thing, like, from trips either to WDI or going to the studios or events I've worked on or people that I've met, like little things that are connected to those things. So I have like a collection of my career in items, you could say, which is nice because that'll have immense value in the future. We have some Funkos as well. But not enough to say that that's like a collection. I would say.
Okay.
I think without it being like career based, it's definitely books.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
awesome.
too many books here, and then I get in trouble because I'm rereading them also. So the new ones kind of sit there. Like I'm in the middle of. No, I just finished that. I'm reading the book on Imagineering story.
Oh.
So the companion book was created for it.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
obviously has more stories than what could be put in that documentary.
Yeah.
So that's great. But I just finished Dick Nunes's book.
Oh, okay.
And that was great. And
Yeah.
then I'm going on to what's after Dick Nunes's? Oh, the Imagineering story book. That is the Main Street Windows book. Granted, I use that more as like a reference than like a book, but I'm always reading something.
Awesome. Solid answer. Yeah. So I think out of respect of your time, we should end this right now.
Yep.
I mean, I mean that's sorry. And out of respect for your time, we should probably taper this down because I know you got to get going and doing stuff.
Yep.
But I will say that we've been doing this show for 8 years now, and we've had the privilege of interviewing Disney authors, Disney Imagineers, Disney artists. Mm-hmm. And every time we have a guest on, I always learn something.
Yeah.
And I'm always just in shock and in awe of how amazing everybody in this community is and how genuine they are and generous they are about just wanting to talk and share. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, everyone we meet they are incredible people.
Incredible.
And Philander, you are absolutely all that and above.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I just want to say thank you so much for
Yep.
hanging out with us.
Yep.
You are welcome to be on our show anytime you want. We do a podcast every other week, and then we do a live show every other Sunday night at 6 o'clock Indy time. So that's our time.
Yeah, anytime.
And so anytime you want to jump on that, we delve deep, and you definitely can delve deep with stuff, and that's great. So I just want to say open invite.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for everything that you've brought to us tonight.
And I just want to take this moment to thank you because we always say that park, the lifeblood, is you guys, is cast members.
Sure.
And without the quality and the caliber of individuals in that park running it day to day, and even in some might say maybe not a thankless job, but it isn't. You guys are amazing. And anytime we've had an interaction with a cast member, it has always been at the utmost level of just a pleasurable, and it's just great. So I want to thank you as a park goer for being there and adding that kind of energy and helping make that place such a special place for so many people. So I just want to take a second to say thank you for that.
Yes, you are so welcome. Definitely. I love to chat, of course. If you got a fun topic you think I could provide context to, then definitely give me a holler. I can jump pretty much into anything, so but that's just part of the job, kind of. So whether it be one thing or another, just let me know. It's always fun to chat and again provide that context or to explain history or connections to the past or the whys behind certain things or fun decision making or armchair imagineering. All that stuff is really fun to talk about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's always great. Because it's always, for the most part, it's for the most of us, it's fan first, and then obviously working there second. So there's a fan part of me, and there's a critical part of me as well. But that's just comes from us, obviously, or me personally as well, striving for better. Yeah. But I am more well versed in the things we need to work on than most, and it from the inside, of course, because there's things that people don't see that we see that we gotta get this down or we gotta work on this. So there's always a work in progress for stuff, and I love the push for excellence, and the keep moving forward aspect that Walt is quoted saying, the plussing that needs to be done. So it's always fun to chat, and I'm good for any topic. I'm gonna have to be in my line of work, so
you did, for sure.
but that part is great, and I like getting a chance to talk with people who are understanding of the subtle value or that comes from the park, that you can get, and the part that makes it beyond just a theme park, and the amount of power that place holds, over people, and why they find it special, and to through storytelling means create an even deeper appreciation for it, because I love getting a chance to take people that are already passionate about it, and then through my words and storytelling abilities get to make you even fall even more in love with it. So that's always my goal, to try to educate people so that they learn something new that provides even more value to them, to either a favorite attraction or experience or the creation of something coming up. And got a lot of stuff coming. Obviously, Pixar Fest is in a couple days.
Yeah.
So we're pumped about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you're welcome on.
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome on
We have stuff
anytime.
coming that we haven't said yet.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait. The other morning when I saw the video of Buzz Lightyear going over the castle, I felt like I was 8 years old again.
Awesome.
It was
There's
awesome.
some fun little subtle stuff we haven't said yet that's coming. So didn't show everything, which is great.
I
so,
can't wait.
Okay,
Yeah.
Philander, where can people find out more about you if they want to follow you and stuff?
Well, it's my Instagram, which is just my name and then the letter C and then 85. It's not hilariously not a lot about me, to be honest. I always laugh when people see me in the park because I don't really show like my face a lot. To me, it's always been a vessel for just educating people on Disney history. So when people like see me, I'm like, oh. All right, because otherwise I've never wanted it to be about me. This is just a way to tell stories, either through a visual or a written form. But yeah, you can see me there. I always tell people, like, I sometimes will post like my life that's not necessarily Disney based. So I tell people, like, if you just want to follow the hashtag of Imagineering Monday, that will get you the history that you so desire.
Sure.
If they don't mind seeing my kid every once in a while, or what I ate for dinner, like, that's there too. Just because, I'm also thinking of my family who likes to see what I'm doing and doesn't care necessarily about, who Imagineers are or whatnot. So that's there. But yeah, I've never been about people like following just for following's sake. Like that's not, it was never been the emphasis. I just like storytelling a lot, and this is a way to get it to a much larger audience who appreciates it on that level. But yeah, it's that Instagram, and every Monday there's some fun new little nugget that I'll find that most people don't know about, and I try to make it topical just because I love letting people know when we have specific, history dates coming up for certain things. Like, we just had Animal Kingdom's birthday, and Tower of Terror's birthday is about to come up for Walt Disney World, of course. So like little things like that, and then finding ways to connect. Or this past Monday was Walt Disney's mother's birthday, so things that you just wouldn't know naturally, that, and people are like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Or so that's always my joy. I haven't still yet, I don't think, talked about all that fun stuff that we said everybody always knows about, because that stuff kind of bores me. I need story. There needs to be story to me. Like, I'm not like a fun fact person. I'm a storyteller. So for me, if the fact does not have a story associated with it, then I don't really care about it. Like, if I say it's a fun joke, like, people ask, like, oh, how many gallons of water are in Grizzly River Run? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. That's boring to me. Like, like, is there a story based around it? Then I'm going to get excited, So like, people will say, did you know Walt Disney's apartment's on Main Street? I'm like, yeah, but why is it there? Like, why would he have an apartment there? Like, there's a story. Or the Matterhorn is 147 feet tall. Why is it 147 feet? There's a story behind that. Like, there's stories attached to things, and that is where you get people to appreciate stuff more, as opposed to just a fun fact, or here's a hidden Mickey. Why did he do hidden Mickeys? Like, there's the story is the best part to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so listeners, go and follow him and learn about whatever you want to learn about, I guess, on Imagineering Monday and what Philander eats for dinner. And okay, man. Thank you so much, and you are welcome on the show anytime.
Yes.
Anytime you want.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
Woo! Okay, well, that was a great conversation with our new friend Philander.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you never know how conversations are going to go with the interviews, but I mean, actually, for the most part, everything we've ever done has really turned out well.
Yeah.
We've been blessed like that.
We've been very lucky.
Yes, we've been very, very lucky. But I learned a lot, and again, this is a guy who I could absolutely hang out in the park with.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt.
Oh my god.
No, and you know, and you said it during the talk that we always meet. There're just so many great people in this community.
Yeah.
And then to have that, and then have a CM at that level be able to just embody what it is, the community is, and so yeah. I mean, we're lucky, we're blessed. I mean, I know it gets overused, but we are. I mean, we really are, and privileged to be able to engage in these conversations and then share them with you guys out there too. So that's awesome. Yeah.
I know, too, when he talked about seeing the park through his daughter's eyes and how this is the park that she knows, I'm really going to push myself to look at it that way, especially when I'm thinking about something that I'm not sure about or feeling myself get a little critical. That's what I inspire to think like now.
Yeah, you know, and that was funny because after when he was talking about that, it did give me that other perspective. So that's, I mean, again, one of those things that it's the blessing part of it is having the multiple perspectives and different points of view that can adjust. And I talked about it last episode too, about adjustments that as we've gone through in my mind, because you all know I've been super critical, but having that discussion with him helps, again, give us another point of view, because we can get stuck in what we're seeing, and so having that outside perspective helps, create a more clear, grander picture of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing the park through your daughter's eyes or kids' eyes. I mean, I'll talk about that on episode probably 200 about why this show even exists. And it has a lot to do with that as well, seeing it through their eyes. But so Becky, you survived your first official LTP interview.
I know, I did.
Well, we had Jay. But,
oh no, you had Jay.
But Jay's like Jay. He's like part of he's like the family.
He is Jay's family. Yeah. So
Jay, your family. Jay, your family.
Totally, and I feel like I had known Jay for years.
Yeah, Jay's just that kind of guy,
really
right?
Did. Yeah, he really is. He's great.
Yep.
So our first brand new guest. So a person we get to meet all together for the first time.
Correct.
And you were nervous about the interview, yeah?
Yeah, I was.
But you did good. We're good.
You did well.
Yep.
Yes.
It was great. He was very inspiring, and it was so cool to hear him talk.
Yeah. No. And again, and just to get to it, like I said it too. We're at a point where it's pivotal, but it's on the way up.
Dude, I feel optimistic.
And that's what I'm saying. I've been saying it for a while, for as many times as I've gone on these rants about this and that and this and that. But I've always tried to come back to the points like, but we're still in a positive way.
Yeah.
We're turning into a positive way. And I know I don't always come off like that, but it is true. And then just talking to him, having people like that in the company, and even at his level, but it's more about the entirety and the how can I put it, the feeling of the company, and knowing that people like him are in that company and still in that company, and in the park more specifically,
sure,
is something that's a positive, and it can't help but make me feel better.
Yeah,
about where we are. I mean,
sure.
I already felt good.
Yeah.
But it just makes me feel even more better than when he dropped that small tidbit about Disney Ford, and we've been going bananas over that.
Yeah.
And he dropped a little nugget like, oh, you can't. I'm like, oh.
No, but yeah, because I know there's a lot he probably cannot say.
Oh, I know there is.
But he knows a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we're in for a treat.
And again, listening.
Yeah.
And listening from his point of view, knowing that he's got the inside baseball, but then also understanding that he's a lover of the park, and so having that ability to kind of bridge that gap, it carries more weight in my mind than anything else somebody's saying. When you have somebody that's, obviously, like, he's not going to be in and out of everything, but he's going to see things that we don't see.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
from a first-hand perspective, not a this person said to this person that said this person said. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's gonna. I guess we should end it here for episode number 196. To find out more about the show, you can email us, or actually go to Instagram at Leaving Today Podcast, and all of our information is there on the link tree. You can go to leavingtodaypodcast.com. All of our contact information is on there as well. That's including our Patreon site. If you want to support the show that way, we've got some links there, so you can do that. You can send us an email at info@leavingtodaypodcast.com as well. Udi, where can people find out more witty banter about you?
You can find me on my socials, which are both Instagram and Twixer, which are both the same handle, HAXGOALIE, Haxgoalie.
All right. And Becky, where can you be found?
You can find me on Instagram at Becky_Weimer, BECKY_WEI, M as in Mickey Mouse, ER.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments on Instagram or send us an email of what you thought. I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to have him back on, even for the LTP Lounge, which would be great, I think. I think Lewis would love that guy. I mean, everyone, I think, likes this guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, again, thank you so much. We love you. Adventure is out there, and we will see you in the parks.
See ya.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry. Now that I cracked it.